I sometimes do bump up my hate for Ninjago just for the drama level on stud butts. So I will say that. Like,
all right, that's good to know.
I just let myself go off. Like, I don't hold back. Where like right now I'm like, because I'm a verbal processor. I'm thinking about like, why do I hate Ninjago?
But yeah.
You want to know the craziest thing?
Hello everyone, and welcome to TFOL Talk, the podcast where we shine a light on awesome teen fans in the LEGO community doing amazing things, and maybe the occasional AFOL too. I'm Doodlebricks, aka Kavi, and today we're going to be hanging out with Brad, otherwise known as Bricking.Up.Brad. How are you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing so great today. I'm ready to get into this.
All right. Same here. I am glad. All right. So I guess to start off, the first question, who is Bricking.Up.Brad and what do you do in the LEGO world?
All right. So my 60-second pitch, we always call it the 60-second elevator pitch, is basically I am the storyteller of the LEGO community, especially the LEGO Castle community. And that's how I like to see myself these days, because my content is generally primarily geared towards telling the story that is old LEGO themes, because in my opinion, the best stories, the best sci-fi, the best fantasy, all that isn't the Star Wars and Marvel and Harry Potter themes. It is Castle. It is classic space. It is Exoforce. It's Power Miners. It's adventurers. Like, in my opinion, I would pick adventurers over Indiana Jones any day. But like, this is the thing. A lot of people don't know those stories. So to me, I want to be able to tell those stories. I want other people to fall in love with those stories as much as I have. And look, it's okay to be a Star Wars fan. It's okay to be a Harry Potter. Like, all those are fine. But it's like, hey, there are some great worlds that LEGO designed themselves, and people just don't know the stories. So that's kind of what I do for content, is I introduce more people to those stories and just talk about those original themes. So
I absolutely love that. I love that you do that, because personally as well, I am an original LEGO theme fan primarily myself. Like, that is the good stuff.
Yes.
So I love that you do that, and especially with some of the older themes now, because like, we don't have as many original themes now, but there's still some, but a lot of the best ones are long discontinued at this point. And especially, like you said, Castle, Space, and Exoforce, which I love because that has like no similarities to the other two.
No, none at all.
But there's such great themes as well, and there's so much to go into with them. And I love that you're kind of, I guess, sharing that with people more and making people more aware of it, because even I didn't know a lot of the stuff about it. So watching your videos and learning more about it has just been really interesting, and you do it very well.
Appreciate that. Well, the funny thing to me is the reason it started all, and I kind of, we were talking about YouTube and like what type of content. The reason I started to make my series Tavern Talk, which is the story of LEGO Castle, is because I was looking for videos myself on how like, I want to learn more about these, because I got in the blacksmith and I was like, I want to learn more about these worlds. Like, I know the Black Falcons have a long history, and there was no good content that was diving deep into it. And like, you could find stuff on like Brick Media or Brickopedia, or a little bit of stuff on like Wikipedia, or like, I mean, there's some other areas, and there's a couple YouTube videos out there. And so I was like, hey, what my goal is to go find all those magazines that, like, for example, for old LEGO Castle stuff, there was I'm pretty sure it was a UK magazine called Bricks and Pieces, that had little stories in them and stuff. And there was a series called Captain Indigo, which like visited some, like, he was a time traveler who visited some of these older themes. It's very old. Look, really? This is the stuff that I spend hours just pondering through every day. So it's bad, but like,
that is really impressive though.
Yeah, it's insane. And a lot of these you can find on Brickset now. I will say, if you go to Brickset and their catalogs, there's a lot of catalogs, but not everyone has the time to go through them. And not like, I sit there and I connect. It's literally like one of those movies, and I don't actually do this, but like, you see all the different things up on a board with red lines going between them. Like, that is how I'm working every day to try to create content. And I want to put all those stories together in a way, fun and interesting way that someone can go watch that and be like, wow, I feel like I understand more about the Black Falcon's history, or wow, like I never knew that about the Wolf Pack. And that's like kind of my goal. Like, cause again, like people don't know this stuff, and it's insane that like these themes have been around for so long and there's not like a good documented area to like look into them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I see what you're saying, because a lot of the lore for those themes was, as LEGO likes to do sometimes when they don't have like a show to go with an original theme, they just dot little bits of lore throughout all sorts of media, catalogs, all those kinds of things. And like you said, it's like so hard to find that stuff, and people don't really have the time to go looking for that. So that's really cool that you go through and find that, because I think a lot of people do want to know about it, but it's just like not many people are going to take the time to look through all that stuff. And it's really interesting lore too, and sometimes not even big bits of lore, but just like small little bits, like how I think it's the elf maiden, right? Like how her sword is a magical enchanted singing sword. Like I didn't know that, but that's just a cool detail.
Yeah, and that one comes from Lego.com itself. Like I didn't even know about this until I started doing these videos into the CMF figures. There's a whole part of Lego.com dedicated to a lot of their stories.
Really?
Yeah, like if it's like under games, it's not even under like it's like under their fun space. Like, so I had never traveled to that area before because in my opinion, like the good Lego.com died a while ago. So
yeah.
Let's be honest. There was a time when we were playing, like I was spending too much time playing those mini games on Lego.com, or like Lego.com used to be good, and I'm sorry, but it has become very boring looking.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with you there, man. I've been wanting to do a video recently about the old games on Lego.com, because those things were the best, like ever.
Yes.
Like they were so much fun.
There was one game that has stuck with me, and maybe not a lot of people remember it, but there was a Mars mission game that was like, there's games like Age of Empires, or it's basically you create troops and go have battles with them. There was a Mars mission game like that on Lego.com.
Really?
And it was like, yeah, you'd build like different like buildings that could build different vehicles that were like the different sets. You could build up troops and stuff, and then you'd go fight the aliens.
Damn, that is cool.
Right?
That is so cool. I sadly never played games for things like Mars Mission, because I was born 2005, so that was a little bit before my time. But still, like,
I'm just showing my age here, but like,
oh, come on, man. Nah, you're good. Still though, that is, they had some fantastic games, and I don't know, when did those die out? Like 2015, 16-ish?
I want to say, because I remember it started happening a little bit before. I personally want to say a little bit before 2013 Castle, but also like I don't fully remember, because those are just around the time where the game started becoming just kind of blobs of the same thing, it felt like.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of really good ones back in the day, and I feel like there was a point where they just started becoming cheap with them, and it's kind of like the games they have now. It's like, it's what we consider a mobile game now. Like they're just very like, you sit on them for a few minutes and you're like, wow, this is kind of boring. Like,
yeah, that is true. I do sometimes wonder though how much of it is also coded in nostalgia for us as well, because sometimes when I look back at some of those games that I played, I'm like, okay, to be honest though, that is kind of just the formula of like a lot of mobile games now. But then there were some that stood out though. Like not all of them were like that, but it's interesting to think about.
My first game I remember playing on Lego.com, I gotten 2 XO4 sets for my first birthday. Like my first birthday that I got like Lego sets, and it wasn't just because I'm the youngest of 6. So all my siblings had all my siblings had Lego, and I would just play with theirs. And when I was like 6, I got 2 XO4 sets, and it was the year that they had little codes on them. And you could actually go to Lego.com, put in those codes, and you could play as those characters in like a fighting game. Yeah.
That is cool. I didn't know that existed. Oh, you're right, actually, because I got an XO4 set a while ago, and I saw that it had a tile with a code on it, and I was like, I wonder what that's for. But
yeah, you'd think they're like, oh, it's a license plate or something. And I think they actually had lore for it, and if I remember right, from Lego had lore about it, but it was just, you could actually use, it was something that you could get that you could use on Lego.com. So
wow, that's pretty cool. I remember what's it? Hero Factory had that as well.
Yes.
I was a big Hero Factory fan.
Okay.
And I think it was...
I won't judge you. Not joking.
Yeah, I know. I know it's not the most popular, but I liked it. But yeah.
No, it's all good. We all have our themes.
Yeah, I think it was Savage Planet. That was it. They had codes on... Actually, not just that. For a while, they had codes on the back of the hero cores that you could also put into a game. And yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. I loved it when Lego would take the time to be like, there's more to this that you're buying than just these things that, you got, if that makes sense. Like, again, like codes that you could do with Lego.com. Like the fact that they incorporate, that was when Lego started to die when they started trying to do apps. That's when it happened. It might be like online Lego.com, like Hidden Side. And Hidden Side, I like the theme of Hidden Side, but oh my gosh, that app was not great. Like, and
it was not.
They've tried to do too many. Lego does not have a good track record of doing mobile, like Lego themes that connect with a mobile app. Mario is the one sort of exception.
Yeah, kind of. That's cool. I like that you mentioned that because I think we're gonna talk a bit more about that later because I definitely want to talk with you about that. But
yeah, for sure.
I agree though. I will say though that I think their mobile apps were pretty decent back then, but it's when they start to try to mix them with the actual sets beyond like codes that it started to get kind of iffy. Because like I had like all sorts of Lego games, their apps, they were good back then, but something happened and then
because wasn't okay, do you remember the Planet series from Star Wars?
Yes
They had an amazing app connected to that. I don't remember what the game was exactly, but I remember just there were some fun games, but when they you're right, when they could try to connect them, that's when it was like,
Was the Planet game the one where you had like a bunch of planets and you'd have kind of like ships on each of them, and the idea was a strategy game? Oh, I love that. That was so much fun.
If you can't tell, I like strategy games, and that's why like that one in the Mars Mission game stuck out to me.
Oh yeah, no, strategy games are fun, man.
For sure.
That is awesome. Okay, let's see. All right, so our viewer question for this episode is from somebody that you actually know. It's from Lego Lockin, and he asks, "How old are you?"
22. I'll put that out there. I don't mind putting that out there.
22. Okay, that's awesome.
I'm almost 23 in like a few months, but yeah.
Really? Oh, that's awesome, man. And going off of that question, I guess, how long have you been into Lego for? And what got you into it in the first place?
So again, it goes back to my brothers. They had in their collection the original X-Wing, the original TIE Fighter, the original like 1999 a lot of the original 1999 Star Wars waves. They had original Castle. Like, now, by the time I got to play with it, it was all in bins mixed together because they didn't keep sets together and like to build their own things. But it's understandable. I get it, but hurt sometimes thinking like, oh gosh, we had that. Like, there's sets that I know we have the pieces of in my, like, because it's my collection now. There's parts like original Castle battle packs and Star Wars sets, and I'm just like, we couldn't have held out, like, and pieces are a lot, but yeah. So they got me into it, and part of it was just like my mom would be like, you got to go entertain little Brad there, and so then they would go build Lego with me, and that's what we did. And one of my brothers I wish he kept building, because growing up, he made some of the most insane. Now, I'm not just saying this because I was a kid. Like, this was insane stuff with hard parts, like, that he would do. And so, to me, that just, like, it was just a fun escape for me. Like, I'd build it with friends. One of my close friends growing up would do it. And as I said it was, I think, 6th or 7th birthday. I think it's 6th, because I remember on the box it being ages 6 to 12 or something like that. And so I was like, oh, I can actually build this now. And it was 2 Exo-Force sets that I gotten. And then just from there, like, I just kept going with it. And so I just can't remember time without it, if that makes sense. Like, I played with Duplo when I was really young. And then I just got into it. And I really want to say my rebirth was in, because I kind of kept building with Lego. I kept doing stuff, but in like end of 2019, I want to say, early 2020, I got heavily back into Lego, and it was actually before the lockdown. The set
Before it, okay.
Yeah, it was actually, so you know what set did it? I was really into The Mandalorian, and I got the ATST Raider because I loved Mandalorian. I saw that set. I was like, I must own that. That has to be in my collection because I want that Mandalorian figure. And then someone introduced me to Bricklink.
And it all went from there.
Yep. It was not a good year for me when I've had worse years since, but yeah, no, like, so, and then on top of it, I started doing TikTok. And so because of those two things, I just, when you talk about something, the more you talk about it, the more you fall in love with it. And so because I was talking a lot on TikTok, I just dived right down that rabbit hole again. And I'd been a Lego fan for like my whole life, so it wasn't that hard for me to get back into it, but it's just like a lot of the Lego collection you see behind me and in the video for us, I got that in the last 2 years. And that is very sad to say.
That is impressive. That is so impressive. Oh my God. Wow. Because you got some crazy sets back there. Like, it's not just new stuff. It's like old Castle especially.
That's Helm's Deep. Ooh. Dwarves 2007 I think that was end of 2007 Mines. That's the 2010 Kingdoms Castle, 2007 Knights Castle. Yeah, like Trolls Castle, Skeleton. Yeah, it's bad. It was Bricklink and Macari and eBay were the end of me. And
ooh. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's great on one hand and really painful on the other. It's like double-edged sword. Oh man, I was lucky enough that when I discovered Bricklink, I guess I already knew about it, but when I got into it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm gonna get all the parts and minifigures I ever wanted. I was lucky by the fact I didn't have the money to buy that. But oh man.
So yeah. The problem with me was when I got back into Lego, I had an adult job. And that was when I finally started realizing, because my parents weren't getting on me about everything I bought. Because I grew up in a great home where my parents definitely helped make sure that I didn't have spending addictions when I was younger. But what they just stopped caring. They're like, it's your money. You work hard for it. You can do what you want with it. And I was like, okay, dropping $200 this week and $200. And I kept being like, I'm going to not do this. Okay. I'm not going to buy anything this week. And then something would pop. I'd be like, you know what? That set I always wanted from Rogue One. I'm going to go buy that.
Yeah. It's always like that, man. Oh, but yeah, when you have adult money, that's when you have to start monitoring yourself. Cause then it's like, I could buy this, but I also want to eat. So,
So, I know you have a lot of, you asked before we got on the show, advice or TFOLs, that was in the message. Yeah.
I'm going to ask that at the end, actually.
Okay, just a real quick one.
Yeah.
Learn to make a budget. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I told you guys my age. I live alone. I have 2 roommates, whole thing. But I moved out. I have a car. I have a full-time job. And I'll tell you right now, I just started, a couple weeks ago, actually starting following a budget. Because I was having weeks where I was like, I just bought a crazy ton of Lego and I got maybe $50 to my next paycheck. Yeah, it's not good. And so what I recommend is, hey, if you can learn to make a budget now, and even if you don't have any crazy expenses, learn to save and learn to follow a budget. I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to help you so much later in life and allow you to buy more Lego.
Oh yeah, of course. I think budgeting is always very important, and putting aside a bit for Lego and doing all that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes,
for sure. I'm saying hey, look, have fun with your money, but make sure you save some.
Definitely. Always be responsible with it.
Yes.
Oh, man. That is awesome. Okay, so you basically didn't have a dark age then, right? Since you said you've been into it pretty much, it's all you've known?
I've had ages where I kind of cut back, but I still had my Lego collection. I'd maybe get 1 or 2 small sets a year. And I think that happened a lot when I was kind of 17 maybe to 19 in a way. Kind of when I first started college and doing that, I just didn't have a lot of time for stuff. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking at it. I enjoyed fantasizing over sets. It also didn't help that around that time was when we got a Lego store in my area. So
Yeah,
because I had never had one of those, and we got one, and I was like, oh, there's so much cool Lego here. Like, we got in Lego store when Overwatch was out.
Ooh.
So I remember one of the first sets I bought from my Lego store was the Overwatch Wrecking Ball. That was it. So Wrecking Ball and the Resistance A-Wing. Because I got the Wrecking Ball from my brother, who's a big Overwatch fan. But yeah, Wrecking Ball and Resistance A-Wing were my first 2 sets from that Lego store. So
Really?
yeah.
That's so cool.
But yeah, that just shows kind of how long ago that store had actually come. So
I see, yeah. So you had more of a dim age than a dark age, right?
Exactly.
Like, I had the exact same thing as well. So that makes a lot of sense. I think it's always better to have a dim age than a dark age if you're going to have one of the two, because at least you're not completely giving it up, and then, I don't know, maybe you get rid of all your Lego, and then later you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that, but, you know.
Exactly. And I think, like, you know, I still have, you know, I'm 22. I could have a dark age anytime here. Like, you know, anytime my life could go to absolute crap, and I'd be like, well, I need money. Bling. But, like, I have such a connection to Lego now, and because of content creation, I don't think that's going to happen. So
Of course. And I don't know if you could necessarily have a proper dark age anymore, because I don't think that's necessarily when you don't have Lego necessarily. I think it's more when you just aren't into it and don't, like, it's not a part of your life at all, I think. So, like, even if you for some reason had to, the worst case scenario ever, you had to get rid of all your Lego, I don't think that would be a dark age, because you'd still appreciate it and enjoy it and want to have it, right? So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
I mean, I have heard of people who were into Lego, and then, like, they went away from it for a while, and they, like, had a dark age, basically, you know, later in life. But you never know. Stuff's gonna happen. So
True. That does make sense. I was gonna say something else really cool. So when I found this out, I got really excited because you were actually homeschooled, right? And I am also homeschooled. I thought that was really
yes.
Cool. So yes, homeschool buddy. I was like, wait, no way, what? But yeah,
you want to know the craziest thing? I think it was our 3rd episode of Stud Buds. Me and Ethan had already both found out we were both homeschooled. And so that was, like, already a connecting point. And we had a guest on who was also homeschooled. And then we did this Christmas stream, and we had Cool Guy Dom on, who was also homeschooled. And we're like, yo, we're still out there. We're still surviving. And we're pushing against the norms that we're all, like,
hell yeah,
sheltered weirdos. Like,
exactly. Right. That is so cool, man. When I found out that Ethan and Dom were as well, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're serious? Like, that was so cool. Man,
I mean, it's crazy because, like, you know, because I was homeschooled, I definitely, like, I spent way more time with my Lego than probably people who went to public school, because, you know, I'd go take a break and go build for a bit. Like, but it's insane to me because there's such a stereotype around homeschoolers, and you never know who they could be. And it's like, the stereotype you're hearing about homeschoolers usually is the one that, like, Hollywood has created about us. The one that people who have met, like, 2 homeschoolers who happen to live on a farm. Like, a lot of us are just like, we're going to be chill. Like, we're weird when we're in high school, maybe, but, like, I played sports in high school. I did all of that. Like, I had a social life. It just looked a lot different than public schoolers. And I'm not bashing. Hey, if you went to public school, that's fine. But
right? No,
the
absolutely.
stereotypes you've heard, not true.
Exactly. I mean, granted, I think there's always somebody who does fit the stereotype, but the stereotype is way, like, there's not many of them.
I met those people.
Right? There are definitely a few of them. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, it does get really annoying when, like, people, the question I would always get asked, and actually I still get asked to this day, is, so how do you make friends? And I'm always just like, like,
you know what? Me and my friends, when you guys were at, you know, school, sitting in those lines of chairs, we were outside just chilling. We were riding our bicycles because our parents said, hey, you guys already finished your homework for the day, you know, because if we were smart about it, we finished it early, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we did it later that night, but we were chilling out in the sun, like, and I mean, I don't know about you, but, like, 1st of June is when we finished doing school. So as long as we got everything done in time. So,
Yeah.
all my friends would still be in like public school, like, and I'd be like, all of my homeschool friends be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go out and hang. It's nice out. Like,
Exactly,
why
right?
not?
So much more freedom to just be you and do the things that you enjoy. It's so
Exactly.
great. But like, I always find it so funny when school kids will ask that, because I mean, sometimes it is just genuine curiosity, and I don't mind it when it's just that. But when people are like, "So how do you make friends?" I find that so stupid, because I have found most of the homeschoolers, unschoolers, world schoolers, whatever those types that I have met, and I've met a lot of them, have way better social skills than most kids that go to school. Like, they can sit there and have a proper conversation with an adult completely easily. Whereas a lot of school kids I met, they're just like, hi. Like, they can't do that as much. And it's just, I find that so funny, because I'm like, okay, sure. Okay.
It's really funny. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a, no matter what stereotype for both groups, they're always true. But yeah, again,
there's
it's like
always somebody that fits the stereotype. Like, it does come from a place.
Yes. Exactly.
Exactly, yeah. Man, that is awesome though. And so I was wondering, you were homeschooled then. Did that have any impact on your love for Lego?
Yes. I mean, for sure. I mean, love for everything that I do. So I don't just have a love for Lego. I have a love for content creation. People like, oh, well, you don't make a lot of content and stuff. It's like, that's because I work a full-time job and I'm usually pretty exhausted when I get home. But like, I have been doing content since I was 13, and being homeschooled technically gave me the opportunity to do that. Being homeschooled was like, hey, like, I could go play Lego. I could go do this stuff. Like, and I was able to spend more time doing that instead of, being at school all day and then coming home and doing homework. Like, because of that. Now, look, I wasn't always great later in high school, and I would spend way much longer than I needed to because I kept getting distracted, than doing homework. But it's like, early on, like, I was able to do Lego, and I was with my siblings who were also doing Lego. So like, when I was really young, like, they'd be home building Lego and be like, hey, can I come join you? And like, we'd have great times together. Like, we would do stories, we would have fun with it. And so, yeah, I think my love for Lego, I believe everything kind of happens for a reason. And it's like, everything that happened, being homeschooled and all the things that I fell in love with because I just spend time doing them, like, because of that, I think it's where I am today as a content creator, as a Lego fan. Like, I love history because we taught that a lot in, because that was my favorite subject in high school and school. Like, and my mom would allow me, as part of my history, to read just history books or kind of point the area where I wanted to learn that period of history. And I loved it. I loved Rome and, the strategies they use military. I had Roman Playmobiles that I'd play with, like, because of the strategies I saw in history. So like, my love for Castle is because I was a huge fantasy history buff. Like, so yeah, it definitely, sorry, very long way of saying, yes, that definitely affected what I love about Lego and what I love in general. So
yeah, that is amazing. And, kind of what you're saying there is exactly, the proof that because you were homeschooled, you got the space to explore the things that you enjoy and take the time to look into them more. So like, you enjoyed doing research into history because you had more freedom to, and like, then you actually took it in, and I guess it resonated with you. Basically, you had the freedom to explore the things you wanted to do in your own way.
Sure.
And of course that translated into Lego as well, with specifically the history stuff. But
yeah, I mean, like, a lot like, I got Barracuda Bay because I'm a fan of history and pirates and that century too. Like, I've some it was the Lone Ranger, basically they're Union soldiers, but I mean, they're the American soldiers at the time. Like, there was that little battle pack with like 3 of those guys. I loved, the 1800s and like that whole time period in US history. So I'm like learning more about that. So I bought that set because of it, like, because I was a fan of it. So yeah, you're right. It really is. And like, at the same time, like, I didn't have a curriculum that I was following in school. Like, we kind of had one because I was homeschooled, but like, again, as you said, like I was allowed to be like, hey, like, can we do Roman history this year? Like, can we do this? Like, so I kind of got to pick what areas of history we got to dive into there. So yeah, for sure.
Exactly. What's most relevant to you, right?
Exactly.
That is absolutely amazing. I love that so much. That is so cool. I wonder, hey, if anybody listening to this, if you're also homeschooled and Lego fan, let us know. We need to find more of our kind.
Yes, we do. We definitely do.
Oh, man. That is so cool, though. I remember, I think probably one of the reasons that I'm as into Lego now is partially because I am homeschooled as well, because my first and my still closest Lego friend, who's Dylan, who was actually on the first episode of this.
Okay.
I was into Lego before, but I was just like any kid is into Lego, like just like, oh yeah, I love Lego, but he's a little bit older than me, and he was like obsessed with it and still is. He was at the level that of course I am at now of absolute fanboy for it. So he's the one that really introduced me to all the things like power miners and maybe Atlantis. I don't know. He introduced me to all the relevant themes at that time. Lego City Undercover, all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's one of the big contributing factors as to why I'm into it so much, because he was also homeschooled. So yeah.
Well, what's the old saying? Like iron sharpens iron. Like that is so
iron
true
sharpens iron, like brother sharpens brother. Ninjago
exactly. Like like Lego. Like I definitely, when I started building a community of people around me that I was talking with about Lego, my fanboy for Lego, you're right, it just shot up. When I started doing stud buds every week, my just doing content creation, talking about Lego, like my knowledge of it started going up, because I'd be in a call with Matt Mellish, Ethan the Artisan, and Block Studios, and we'd just be talking, and then conversations would go wherever, or we'd have guests on, and we'd start be like, oh, that's really cool. So again, big recommendation to people, find other friends, especially if they're in your area that are fans of Lego, and I'll trust you, you'll grow in what you love about Lego, and you get to have more fun with it, because when you get to have people to talk to about it, the most boring part of my week is when I don't have people to talk to about Lego. And my favorite parts of my week are when I get to talk about Lego. Because to me, everyone else is well, can't talk to you about Lego, because you just don't understand. And so it's Stud Buds is kind of a highlight of my week, because I get to go sit there with a bunch of other Lego fans, and we just get to talk about Lego. And there's nothing better than that. So
Right? Exactly. It's so much better when you have people around you with similar interests that you can talk to about these things. It makes everything so much better, I think. And
for sure.
Right. I was going to say, my poor mom, because now I have more Lego friends, but before I didn't. So I'd talk to Dylan, but whenever something new would happen and he wasn't around, I just tell my mom, and she's so sweet. She's interested in it, even though she has no idea what some of it is. She's like, oh, that's really cool. And I show her the stuff, and then I talk to her about all this shit that she probably has no idea what I'm even talking about, but she's still so supportive of it. So yeah, I do that a lot still.
I understand that 100%, because I do that sometimes too now.
Right? And she actually understands some of the lore from this stuff now, because I've talked about it for years. And yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, shout out to the moms to the parents that care about Lego.
That's true. I mean, so my parents, they care about Lego because I care about it. They don't they don't buy sets. I bought them a few sets, and they have a couple around the house. But they actually watch, and I talked about this on Cali Brick Click. They watch my content on YouTube. They do, and they found it because I was talking. I think my dad followed my Instagram and just kind of saw what I was doing, and I shared it with him, and they thought it was the coolest thing, and they're so. What word I would use is proud that I'm just, because I went to college for, it was called electronic media communications, which is basically to work production on anything from news stations to any production background. And that's what I went to college for. And before college, I wasn't I was sort of doing some video stuff, but I should have really been doing more. And so they were just happy to see that I'm actually using a lot of the skills that I learned, and that a lot of the skills I've learned just in general from making content. And I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, and they find it cool. This mug that I've started using at the end of my tavern talks, they gave to me for Christmas because they wanted me to have a more historically accurate mug.
That is so sweet.
Yes. Which I need a, because last time I said this on a show, they got mad at me because I put the information out wrong. My mom said that they needed to get me a mug that was better. And then my dad went and found one. So they both got it for me because last time I said my mom found it and all that, and my dad got mad at me. So I'm not really mad, but yeah, exactly. I got to give him the credit for it. So
yeah. Oh, that is amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, it's great when people are supportive of the things that you enjoy, right? It's absolutely awesome. And honestly, the other contributing factor to why I'm into Lego is actually because of my mom, because she was the one that when I was younger, she was like, oh, Lego's a really great toy and creative. Let's get it for him. She was the one that pushed me into liking it because I had Duplo when I was really young, but like, and I had a little bit of normal pieces, which I called little Lego at the time, because she would buy like secondhand lots off of eBay and stuff like that.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a lot of Mega Bloks that was in there that when I was younger, I was like, I wonder if this is weird. Why is it different? And now I'm like, because you're a fake. Anyways.
Burn it!
Exactly. No, but you see, that fake Lego is nostalgic now. But anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't all that enamored with like normal system bricks at the time. I was like, yeah, they're okay, I guess, but I enjoyed Duplo more. And then she was kind of like, oh, why don't you use the normal stuff more? And then at some point something just clicked in my brain and I was like, and now this is my entire personality. You know that like TikTok audio that's like,
yes.
Well, this is going to be the personality for the rest of my life. Like that was exactly it.
It's crazy to me because I think about all the other toys I had growing up. And I'm like, I could have been like a Playmobil at, collector / content creator. Like if I kept going with that route, like I could have been into all these other things like Webkins or something like that.
Oh
like,
my God.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out some stuff like those toy army men. I could have been into that. But like what drew me to Lego? And again, it comes down to I mean, I have a whole medieval battle mock going on behind me here. Like, it's the creativity. It's the fact that you could get a Lego set that you absolutely hate. Like, there are some sets, like, I trash on them on stud butts, but if I got them, I know I'd still enjoy them, or I could use the parts for other stuff. And that's what it comes down to is, like, I think, in my opinion, Lego is the best toy / collector item because no matter what, you can either display it, you can take that apart and build other things with it, and also the storytelling that you can have with it. Again, like it comes back to what I said in the beginning, like the reason I love original Lego themes is because of the storytelling. And I think it's something that's been lost in more modern day Lego sets. I mean, there are a few that are the exception, but like the storytelling is like, I love Star Wars because of the world building. I loved Harry Potter because of the world building. I love Marvel movies because of the world building and the storytelling. And Lego's just another way to either tell that story or tell a new story, So, and also it's an art form. Like, and that's why
right?
It is. Like, I mean, if you think of Lego Masters is a perfect example. Like, you can build stuff that's just the most beautiful and insane things. I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at sculpting, but I'm pretty good with building Lego. So, like, that's my art form. That's my creative outlet. Like, so yeah, I think like, there's a reason why Lego as a toy has stuck around as long as it has. It's changed a lot and it's adapted. And that's the other great thing about it. But it's stuck around for a reason.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. It's kind of like their old slogan, which is a new toy every day. Like that's exactly what it feels like because that's the reality of it. And it's like you said, it's just great that it's a art form, I guess, and that you can really make it whatever you want it to be. Like that's just the best thing about it because I think that's one of the reasons that I've been drawn to it so much because I'm like, if I want a robot that looks like this and can do this, that, and the other, if that doesn't already exist, I have to like learn how to 3D print that or something and do all this difficult stuff. Or I could just grab my bricks and start building it, Like
exactly. I mean, you've been to a Lego convention, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like when you go to those things, I remember at least when the ones I've went to, there's never been army toys, like army Lego sets. And, there's been a lot of people who've made them. and there's like whole World War One, two, whatever battles that people have made out of Lego, and I'm just like, those people are fans of history, and they're I don't want to say they're kind of like the fans of that era, and so like they built this all. Like there's no sets for that. Like you can't do that with, as you said, you can't do that with other toys. Like, people want just pull any crazy thing from Star Wars or anything. Like every ship that someone's like, I want that as a set. Someone's built that as a mock. Like, and that's just awesome. Like there's, again, you go to the Black Series figures or you go to any of that, like you can't always get that. So.
Yeah, exactly. And the great thing about it as well is it's not just stuck as a model, because if you did want to say make some kind of like war diorama, you'd usually have to make that as like exactly that, just a still diorama that you couldn't move things around because everything was fixed. But with Lego, you can leave it still, or you can mess with it, do a stop motion, whatever. Like it covers so much ground, right?
It really is awesome, and I just can't say that enough.
Exactly right. Okay, so what is the story behind your username, Bricking.Up.Brad?
Okay, sorry, I laugh. I get a lot of comments about my username, and so Bricking.Up.Brad started. So I started. Okay, give you a little bit of history to this. I started doing content back in 2013 because I'd always enjoyed watching other people's content. I loved YouTube. I was part of the era of who saw the original Minecraft YouTubers like Captain Sparkles and all these, PewDiePie. And it was the height of, wow, content creation could be a full-time job. That was like that. I don't know. It was a little bit before, like, Smosh. I was watching them, like Ryan Higa. Like there was a lot of people doing it, and I'd kind of been making videos, just little stupid fun videos here and there. And so I started a YouTube channel. I started with Clash of Clans videos. And it was literally, yes. I literally had a camera pointed at an iPad, and it was, oh my gosh, my first one going back. I'm like, that's what I sounded like back in 2013. Okay, we're just going to private that one so no one sees that ever. So I started doing content creation through that and did many other, like I did that channel for a while. And that was the coolest thing to me about that is there was a point where I was uploading 3 times a week. Like I was making 3 different videos a week and uploading it. Like I only maxed out at 75 subscribers on that. And that channel took a lot of iterations where like I had a bunch of friends who came on, like we all started doing the channel together. And then after a while I stopped that and I tried a bunch of channels going out, and then TikTok came around. And at the time I was dating this girl and she loved TikTok. And I was like, it's a stupid app. All I've heard is like, it's the knockoff version of Vine. Like, and finally some of my friends were like, you got to get TikTok. I was like, fine. So I had one TikTok and I messed around with a couple different videos just for the fun of it. Cause I liked making content. It's like, hey, I can make really short form, stupid stuff. And then I found Epic Bricks. And those who don't know who Epic Bricks is, he is what I call him, the godfather of Lego TikTok. He was posting videos about Lego, and he was just packaging videos on Bricklink stores and kind of talking about different figures. And like, that's all he was doing. And it was getting thousands of views. And I was looking at that and I was like, holy crap, I never thought other people would care about Lego like this. Because again, I was kind of isolated on, I remember the Lego content I kind of watched. There was some different ones, but animations was my big Lego content. There were so many amazing animations that told such great stories. Fancy Pants was an amazing one back in the day. If you never watched him, he has some hilarious stuff. Brotherhood Workshop. There was a lot of legends I loved watching. And I was like, you know what? I got to do this. I got to get on. I have some sets. I want to be funny. I want to entertain people. And so I made an account called Legoing.Up.Brad because I was like leveling up. And that's kind of has always been my motto, is always being better, always being not in like a macho kind of, it's like you can always improve yourself no matter who you are, no matter where you think, oh yeah, like I'm as proved as I can. No, there's always something about like there's disgusting areas in my life. I'm like, I'll put it that way. Like things I'm not proud of in myself. I'm like, hey, I always want to be better. I always want to try to improve myself. And so I did Legoing.Up.Brad because it was kind of like leveling up and, Lego in the name and stuff. And then I did a stream with a guy called Brickblaze and Bricksmith, who were the first people to introduce me to the community itself. They just kind of invited me on. And they're like, yeah, you should probably switch it because Lego doesn't like it when you have the Lego name in your title.
Right.
So if you ever do a Lego content, make sure Lego is not in your name because they don't like that. And I was like, Bricking.Up.Brad. It's BB, has a nice ring up to it. Now, that name has been turned into a lot of jokes since then, but
Oh,
and if you don't get it, then you're too young. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's like, one of the, who Mini Superheroes Today is?
Yeah.
He said we were at Virginia and we were talking and I was kind of explaining him to this conundrum because I was thinking about changing it. And he was like, this is the biggest compliment in my life, honestly. And I love him so much. He's such an amazing guy. And he goes, yeah, you must be bricked up because of how you talk about Castle. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. It shows that I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, I have thought about changing it a few times. I've been really wanting to do Brad the Bard because bards are storytellers. But that's actually a taken name. I did not realize that. So
really,
I'm looking into some things, but also it's like at this point I am Bricking.Up.Brad. I've been doing it for 2 years now, technically, or something like that. So it's like it's kind of stuck around, and I don't know. I might change it. I might not. Who knows?
I definitely see a bit of a conundrum there, but to be quite honest with you, that didn't even pop to mind until recently. So it didn't even cross my mind, and then one day I was kind of like, huh, okay, but generally that. Yeah. I think it's a great name.
I didn't think about that either when I did the name, and I had some friends who was like, yo, people are gonna think that, and I'm like, no. I went through the struggle at one point. This is the point where I really was thinking about changing it because I had a video that popped off on YouTube. And it's one of my most watched videos at 1.8 million views. It was a YouTube short. Yeah, it was insane. And I was getting a lot of hate comments for some different stuff. And one of the comments I kept getting was, yo, what's your username sus? All these comments, that wasn't the thing that bothered me. There's all this other stuff. But I was like, oh, should I change it? And then one of my friends was like, yeah, I tried looking up your channel and some not appropriate stuff showed up when I first started typing it in. I was like, no, because I want kids watch my channel. I want to be careful there. So I've thought about it. It's up in the air. Maybe I've hit 10K subscribers on YouTube recently. So I'm like, maybe this is the time where I change it, which I'd go so Brad's actually my middle name. This is going to blow a lot of people's mind. My real name is actually not Brad. So my full middle name is Bradford. So I thought about maybe doing Bradford the Bard and just still going, because I go by Brad anyways in my life.
Yeah.
My best friend
just
also
within
has
the
the
Lego
same first
world
name.
or outside of the Lego world?
It depends on the group. So my best friend also has the same first name as me. And he's 10 hours older than me. So
10 hours.
At the time, yeah, no, straight up, he's 10 hours older than me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So because of that, I started going by my middle name, Brad. And so, it depends what friend groups I'm with. If I have a job, usually I go by my first name because that's what they've met me by or stuff. But, other people, it just depends. Everyone in the Lego world knows me as Brad. And I'll always keep that. And I am Brad at this point. At this point, I've kind of taken that over that identity. But, yeah, it's kind of funny to me because, I'll tell people my actual name and they'll go wait, what?
Oh my god, that's funny. That's funny though. It's the big plot twist. It's little do you know that this is a fake identity. In reality, this is my real name.
Jacksepticeye's actual name is Sean. It's not Jack.
Yeah.
And it's at first it kind of was just to keep my identity a little bit hidden because I didn't want someone, whatever. But as my job as social media coordinator, my full name's out there. I have stuff that's attached. It's like at this point I can't hide it, but I just like just call me Brad. Just people just make sure it's like it's Brad. Like
I see, that's cool. Have you ever revealed your like first name online, or has that stayed like off of that?
I have. And okay, so there was a period, and I think a lot of people didn't realize that I'd done this during this point. There was about 6-7 months where I was working at a Lego store, and Lego doesn't like you to have social medias if you work for them, like at least at the Lego store level. So there's a point where I had to change all my stuff to my real name. And so there was a point where a lot of people were super confused by that, but I think everyone's forgot about it since then.
Okay, I see.
And then on
That's
Stud
cool.
Buds early on, I think it was Zane or someone. It was a PowerPoint, I think, I'd made up for Thunderdome one week. And I accidentally put like my first name in there instead of like Brad. So it's out there. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right. So you said that you did content on TikTok, right? But recently you've actually, if I'm correct, you've moved more to YouTube content now. So what specifically was the type of content that you did primarily on TikTok, like type of Lego content? And then how come you've decided to focus more on the YouTube side of things now?
So again, I'm going to go back in a little bit in history here to talk about. So when I started doing TikTok, I was in the first 10 people that I knew of that actually did Lego content on TikTok. I was part of that. It's something I'm proud of, very proud of, that I was a part of the starting movement to make Lego TikTok to what it is today. And so like it was me, it was Cool Guy Dom, Matt Mellish, and Epic were kind of the leaders of that movement there. Even if they didn't do it on purpose. They are all the people that we kind of looked up to and respected. You know, there was Ethan Arson. There was a guy called Chewy Bricks back in the day. I remember him. He's kind of gone now. There's a lot of, but there was a small, like I kind of knew everybody. Like there was a point where all the people who were on Lego TikTok were in a group chat together.
Oh, that's so
like,
cool.
There were so few of us, which was like, this was before all the big YouTubers started moving over to TikTok, which is not a problem, but it's like, there was a point where it was just we were our own names and we were starting to become kind of like there was a community starting to build, and to me that was really crazy because I think about what it is today and it's so much different when it was back then.
Really, it's changed that much already.
Yeah, like in a few years, because again, it was small content creators. Like we kind of all knew each other. Now I go on my For You page, I'm like, I have no. There was like 20 new content creators yesterday, and it was it was great though. Like it was really fun to get to know some of these people, and there were so many like weird things. But the thing is, I was one of the people who started doing like a lot of just jokes. Like I was doing a lot of the Lego jokes back in the day, and I'm not trying to take full credit of that, but like my first video was me going, we were all, because it was the UK had the 501st Battle Pack and the US didn't, and I was like, we're all upset that we don't have the 501st Battle Pack. Well, if we hadn't fought the Revolutionary War, then we would have the 501st Battle Pack today, okay? Like, this is all our fault. So, like, I was just, like, making stupid jokes like that, and that's kind of what I was doing. And my thing, though, was when I was on TikTok, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know, like, I would figure it out for a little bit, and again, like, I started off just making a lot of jokes. And I liked that. That was fun, because one thing I like to do in my content is make people smile. I like to make people laugh. Like, if you watch my Tavern Talks, I do a lot of serious conversation. I dive into lore, but I'll throw in jokes once in a while. Like, I'll make jokes about how, like, if you watch my Trolls video, like, oh, the awful Disney Trolls, and I'll, like, swipe it around. Like, I don't know. I'll do stuff like that because in the end of the day, I want to make people smile. So I did a lot of that. I had a really bad phase where I was known as the guy who hated drop tests, because there was this big phase. I don't get why people did this to begin with. This was just stupid, but people would do drop tests, and I'd duet their videos kind of threatening them. And it's actually, so there's something I have a podcast now called the 2x4 Table. And that came off of a joke where I used to have this 2x4 piece of wood, and it became a staple of who I was in a way. So I switched it over, and I was like, you know what? That's going to be, it's kind of where the whole wood thing, like I have a wooden background and all that and all the tavern talks, because no one really gets it besides me. But I was like, hey, this was a staple early on. I want to keep that around. But it was a really stupid thing I went through, and I didn't know what to do, because I don't like doing set reviews. I like talking about sets. Like, I'll love if you ask me about the Lion Knight's Castle, I'll go full into it and the why you should buy it. But that's like because I'm passionate. It's like I can't really do that well in a video. So I was like, I don't want to be doing set reviews because that's what everyone else is doing. And I want to, not for like to be special. I just want to stand apart from the crowd. Because if I was doing what everyone else was doing, like I was just going to fall into the crowd and get lost in it. And so I was so confused. And then I went and worked for Lego for a while. And that was a fun time, but I kind of stopped doing content, and I realized I love Lego Castle, and all my coworkers would just not on and on, I would just not shut up about it. Like I loved it. Like I absolutely love, like people like, oh, that's a persona you put up. No. I love Lego Castle. Like if you ask anyone who's met me at a convention, I will just start talking about Lego Castle. Any conversation that I can fit Lego Castle into, I will definitely do. But I started having this love for it. And then I started being like, hey, as I said, I looked and I was like, I want to watch more videos about this. I want to watch entertaining piece of content about Lego Castle. And the YouTube has drawn to me, because when you watch a TikTok, that video goes away. That video is just lost. You know, someone may find it later. You know, you have a viral video, people say it into the future. Maybe people remember that video. But
it doesn't get promoted as much, right?
No. And it's like, you know, I had a viral sound on TikTok at one point. And it's this really? I hate this video. I hate it. Because it's so stupid. I literally went, I have a $10 Lego set. No one cares. I have a $100 Lego set. Oh, here's me trying. It's something like that. And it was all these content creators use that sound. Maticus Bricks got tons of followers and a crazy amount of views when he used that sound. And I did, and it's still like it was at one point one of my most viewed videos, over like 200K views. But everyone on TikTok was using, like Lego TikTok was using that sound at one point. But again, like that still gets me views once in a while. But again, it's not a video that I want to, honestly, to get views, because I don't find it of who I am as a content creator. Whereas YouTube, what I want, my end goal with YouTube is that anyone could go back to my channel and learn anything they wanted under the sun about Lego Castle, about Lego Pirates, about Lego Space, about original Lego themes. I want it, like, because there is, as I said, there is no great place to go learn more about those themes. And so what I love about YouTube is that I can do that there. I can make content that people could see my Black Falcons video, which I made almost over a year ago, is still getting a ton of views because people want to know more about the Black Falcons. And it's, so to me, I want content that's people can go back and watch at any time. Now, I enjoy making short form content, and I also know as a content creator, you have to make short form content in this time and age. But when it comes down to it, what I love doing is making well edited, basically, history books in a way. Like they're kind of documentaries on these original Lego themes. And so that's what really drew me to YouTube, was that, hey, I can upload this video and people can go to my channel and watch whatever old video they want of me. Or if someone's Googling, someone goes to YouTube and goes, Lego Trolls Castle Faction, they can find a video about me talking about it there. And discover, and again, it's less about I want to become big and famous on YouTube, and more I want to have people to be able to have this knowledge, so that they don't have to spend hours upon hours upon hours trying to find it like I had to do. So,
exactly.
I don't know. That's when it comes down to it. That's what drew me to YouTube. I I also don't like TikTok much as a platform. Again, it's just like everything kind of just disappears after you post it. Like, you can have a video, does well for a week, and then everyone's going to forget about it. Where,
Of course.
again, I want information that's out there and that's, like a lot of the shorts I do right now are stuff from my bigger videos that I want people to just kind of know that information in general. So, yeah.
Right. Exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. Once again, you're filling gaps that you saw in the Lego space that you were looking for, I guess, and you couldn't find that. So you're filling the gaps with the content you're doing there now. And I think that's great because once again, I think we talked about this a little bit before, but I've heard people say that they think there's no real, what's the word? There kind of like every niche even. It feels like I've heard people say that they think that the Lego space is kind of like everyone's already done every type of content that you can do, basically. But once again, I highly disagree with that. And you're a great example of how there's still so much more you can do.
Highly recommend going and checking out Cheesy Studios.
Yeah.
I had him recently on the 2x4 table for we did a factions, which was the best factions bracket, and I've watched a lot of his stuff, and he's just really knowledgeable at this kind of thing. But he's also found different ways to talk about stuff. Like he made me want to go pull out my Knights Kingdom 2 card game that I didn't even know like these had to do with anything. Which I highly recommend going watching that video because it's fascinating to me.
It's a great video.
Like, he's also doing mock videos, like, and every mock hasn't been built. Like, there's so many mocks out there. Ethan the Artisan, great example of someone who's trying to switch it up in the Lego mock space. Like, he made the best. I'm guessing there's a lot of content creators trying to follow what he did because he has over 1 million followers on TikTok for good reason because he makes
amazing.
Like, he's very engaging when it comes to his short form content of, I spent this amount of time building this thing out of Lego, and the edit, like, I don't get bored when watching his short videos. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm really fascinated to see what you did at the end here. And he'll like little things like his mom texting him, popping down. That's like, like why is there a $500 purchase on my car? Like, he's doing different stuff. And again, I think you're right. There is a lot of people like, oh, in the content creator world, everyone's doing it. No. And the people who are doing it, I mean, just because someone like M&R, got on top of the Star Wars game early doesn't mean that he's covered everything in Lego Star Wars,
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to diss anyone. Like, it's just because we all have different areas that we're passionate about, and so we tackle those areas. Whether that's M&R, whether that's Emma Soros. I mean, Emma Soros is one of the fastest growing Lego content creators right now, and I mean, she deserves it. She's a very wonderful person and content creator, but like, she's going into different areas with some of the content she makes, and everyone tries different things. And honestly, when it comes down to it, if you're a content creator who's trying to find a way in Lego, what are you passionate about? What are you talking to? You notice you talk to your friends a lot about when it comes to Lego. Try doing something with that. Switch it up. Don't try to do what everyone else is doing. Find what you're. If you see, like, go out. I told you this advice, but like, think about what you enjoy talking about and what you enjoy. Then go out, find the people who are making that kind of content. Come back and be like, all right, what did I learn from that? Write down all those things that you're like, okay, this was fun. I liked this part. I liked how this guy edited this type of thing. Pull all those parts together, add what you're passionate about. And hey, if you put out videos, I'm guessing other people enjoy that content too.
Absolutely. There's, even if it feels like in a whatever niche that you're in, so, for us, the Lego community, even if it feels like all the content has been done, there's always a way to switch it up and do it in your own way. Like, you don't just have to do a review. Like, in my opinion, Jang Bricks is the ultimate review guy. Like, he's the person you go to if you want a straight, like, in-depth review of a Lego set, and he has been that for years. But everybody's kind of done reviews in their own way, and some people manage to switch it up in ways that I wouldn't have thought you could really do with a Lego review. For example, with like the short form content, when people started to do that, they were very quick reviews, but you still got I guess, main idea of what you were getting, so you didn't necessarily have to commit to like a 15-minute review if you didn't want to. And there's so many other people doing it that in their own ways, but also other types of content that have already been done, but they're switching it up. And I think there's always places to innovate.
Well, I mean, like, talk about, have you seen Matt Mellish's reviews?
Yes.
I love how he does it, where it kind of takes you along the process, but he also points out a lot of the Easter eggs while you're building it. And I love that. Like, I've encouraged him a lot to be like, keep doing that, because to me, like, I don't watch reviews. I just, like, personally for me, I just not a type of content. Now everyone has their own preferences and stuff. Like, I just go towards, but I love watching his reviews because, again, he goes and it's like, it feels like you're along with the process, and you'll point out little Easter eggs and stuff that I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that, you know. And so I think you're right. Everyone has a different way they can tackle reviews. And again, everyone has something different they bring to the table. Like,
exactly.
My biggest problem in the LEGO community right now is when a new set comes out. And I'm going to quickly explain this before everyone jumps down my throat. Anytime a new LEGO set comes out right now, this is the same TikTok I see every time. Hey guys, this new LEGO set has come out. It's pretty cool. It's from Star Wars. End of video. And it's like, okay, what value did you give to anyone out of that personally? What are you talking about? Like, talk about something. You have a personal take on that. Give your personal take. Like, you don't have to, just because something got leaked doesn't mean you need to quickly screenshot that from the person who shared that leak, upload it to your TikTok, to your Instagram, to your YouTube, and go, hey guys, this is it. Give your personal take. Add something to it. Like, sorry, it's such a pet peeve of mine. It bothers me so much. So I'm like, if you watch Stud Buds, you'll see me give my personal take a lot on stuff, which I know I get a lot of hate for because I give a lot of crap to stuff. But I'm still giving my personal take, and I feel like there's people who think like me who probably appreciate my take on it, and that's why they come and watch me. People enjoy the certain ways that other people give takes on stuff. The Brick Chef, he does a very, he does a style of reviews whenever he does a review. There are people who go to him because they like his opinion on it. And again, everyone has a reason why they come. Anytime anything Castle happens, anytime a new set minifigure gets dropped, I'm guaranteed to at least get 5 to 20 messages that day with people asking my take.
Cool.
It's crazy to me because, like, Instagram, because I'll start just sharing it on stories with some of my thoughts, even though I prefer to do a full on video, because text can always be people can have different takes on it. But like,
right,
I put it out there, and I'm like, I love talking to people. I get so many messages from people who are like, did you see this thing? And I'm like, yeah, this is my thought. The hardest for me was what I call Leakageddon. When we had the 20 different huge sets get leaked, because I had to be the voice of reason. And it is not a good sign when I have to be the voice of reason, where I'm like, guys, we don't know the story behind this. Okay. Like, these are prototype images. We gotta bring it down some. Energy levels are up high. We need them a little bit lower. Like, but I love that. And so people come to me when they want the take on the new Castle, and I'm hoping at some point the new space stuff, or hopefully one day we'll get an Adventures GWP, and hopefully I can get my take on it. Again, it's just like when it comes to Lego Castle though, that's my area of expertise. Or before I say that, something I love is Gary V. I don't know if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
No, I don't personally.
Okay, so he's a big entrepreneur. Because the entrepreneur.
Oh wait, I think I do know him actually, Gary V. Yes, I think I do. But so for anybody who doesn't know,
so I guess anything he doesn't know, he started. People kind of know him because he would go to like, garage sales and buy up stuff and resell it, and a lot of people give him flack for that, but they don't know he's a big entrepreneur, speaker, big expert in social media and like trends. Like, he has his own media company. He has he's just anything that happens in the entrepreneur space, he's kind of in it and like testing the waters. But he said something like, you are not an expert in something. you're only an expert in something if the people are, your audience says you are. Because like, I am not, there are people who have way more castle knowledge than me, but I'm a loud voice who I believe that I've, gained the right to be called an expert because of the information I share. I'm not an expert. Like I'm knowledgeable. That's a better way of putting it. I'm very knowledgeable on the topic.
That's good.
So when something castle happens, people want to come for my knowledge because I have a lot of takes on castle stuff, and I own a lot of castles. So, I have reputation there. So again, like anybody can have that. So if you want to do something different, give your opinions. Stick out from the crowd when you talk about a new set and find new ways to talk about it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when a new set comes out, my whole Instagram For You page, feed and For You page on TikTok is all that same set. And it's always the same thing. So find a way to stick out from the crowd. It's so
absolutely
bad, man.
It's always just it's like whenever a new set comes out, it's like every single notification is like there's the same thing of like this set's here. But yeah, I think that's really good what you said. If you want to cover news, and I mean, it's definitely a difficult space to, I guess, get big in the Lego space because there's already much bigger people that do it, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But like Brad said, if you innovate within it, then you can stand out. Because I remember I started doing news videos on my channel because the news just kept coming because I wanted to do all types of content. But then after a while, like that's a good half of my videos still. But I realized, shit, this isn't good because nobody's watching my videos because there's other people who are bigger who are covering it, and I'm not really innovating in the news space. Plus, that's also not... news videos are kind of like TikTok videos, like you said, where they're only relevant for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, people aren't going to be watching that. So for me personally, I decided, okay, no more news videos. But if you do want to do them, innovation is the best way because there are so many people doing them. So if you can find your own unique spin on it, absolutely do that.
All I'm going to say to people, next time a new set comes out, just on Instagram, read the captions of every new set thing you do, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But sorry, I just had to quickly say that. Because straight up, if you read them all, you're like, oh, they kind of aren't saying anything. But no, I agree. It's and on top of it, you have to give people a reason to want to come to your channel to get your take on stuff.
Exactly.
I feel like I've earned, a space where when a new set comes out for, again, as I said, Castle, people want to come to me because I have shown that I understand this topic and I feel like I've given pretty good takes on it, or I've done good content talking about why people should love Castle. So again, it comes down to, first you got to prove that you are someone people can come to get good information about this thing. So again, look, if you're a mock builder, look at a new set and be like, hey, here's the new parts. This is maybe some cool stuff that you could do if you didn't want to keep the set around. If you're, whatever you're loving, there's so many different things you can love about Lego. Find what you love, apply it to Lego if you plan to do content with it.
Absolutely. Completely agree. That's a great way to put it.
Sorry, that was a huge tangent. Holy crap. Like, what did you ask me for the original question?
That's a good question. What did I ask you, actually? I think what
drew me to YouTube.
Yeah, that was it. So just like me, you are a big fan of original Lego themes, and you mentioned the main ones are like Space, Castle, and Exo Force, right?
Oh, no, actually, that's not my top ones, but I like those ones.
No, they're not your... Okay, what are your...
No.
What
okay,
are your top
so
ones, then? Tell me.
Number 1, Castle. Number 2, Exo Force. It's hard because space is so general. Because like I'm a huge fan of like I think Space Police 3 was a brilliant space theme because I loved how it was like city but in outer space. Like it was so cool. The commercials were amazing, and I don't know if people remember, but there's an amazing Lego animation series that they did for Space Police 3.
There was.
It's definitely not my top 5 favorite, but I think it definitely deserves. It's so hard because every time I research into a different theme, it starts becoming. I gotta look at my shelves here for a second. Power Miners, definitely in my top 5 favorite. I was a huge Power Miner fan. I was a huge Atlantis fan, but I think Power Miners vehicles were just so much cooler. I think Atlantis is cool. Don't get me wrong. But let's see, Exo4. Okay, so I gotta remember what I've bought in lately. Now I'm having a hard time remembering. Yeah, so I guess
I don't blame you, man. I have a hard time too.
Okay, let's go Castle, Exo Force, Space, Power Miners. I'm forgetting themes, and I know there's one up there that's like.
I do the same. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna throw Atlantis up in that. I love original themes, but I'll just say Castle, Exo Force are definitely up there, my favorites.
Okay. That's so funny. I love that. So how come Exoforce? Because that is so different to like Castle in Space, and like that's really interests me because I'm a big mech fan, so that's why I love Exoforce. But I generally like things within that kind of scope. So I'm curious why you like that so much.
Okay, so Exoforce, big reason, was my first Lego sets I ever got, so it's very nostalgia. Also, my siblings had some, and I really enjoyed playing with those. So most of it's probably nostalgic because I have bought in some of the sets lately, and I enjoy them, but I'm definitely like, oh, there's a couple problems. But I also, okay, I've talked about this before. I love world building, and Exoforce had an amazing world around it. I have the books actually for Exoforce. There's a bunch of books. I actually have them right here because I have a little bookshelf next to me. But like, yeah, there's like a bunch of just like fun books about the world that is Exoforce. And I just love the story behind it. The story of what it is. And then on top of it, I think... Okay, the reason a lot of people like Knight's Kingdom 2 and Bionicle is because of the big action figures that you can just bash into each other. And it's like... It's not small and little minifigures that you're going pew pew oh ting ting. Like you have mechs, and each one holds like in one hand. Right? Exactly, and then you just start smashing them into each other. Like that's and mechs are also just super cool and posable. Like who doesn't love a good mech?
Right? Surprisingly, a lot of people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's up there. And it's, again, story of the characters. Rio, which is like the in the second wave, he's green. He's got an orange mech in the first one. He's just up there with one of my favorite characters because he was one of the first minifigures I owned. So, yeah.
He's the purple-haired one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Really funny thing is, Exoforce is a mecha. It wholeheartedly is. If you know what an anime mecha is, that's what Exoforce is. And I don't like anime. And I think it's really funny that Exoforce is up there in my favorite themes. And I'm not a big anime fan. Like all my friends, like my roommate and all that, huge anime fans. Like all over the house, we have like anime figures and posters. Yes. Like I'll be like playing games. I'll just hear from the like because we have a big TV in the basement. I'll just start hearing like anime sounds and stuff, and I'm like, they're doing that again.
Japanese coming from the other room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't watch it. Like it's all like Japanese and stuff. So I'll be like doing lunch, and I'm like, "What are you guys watching?" Like,
oh boy.
But yeah, so yeah, I had to put that out there. Like, if you like anime and stuff, all good on you. It's just like it's not my thing, but I just think it's really funny that I don't like anime, but I love Exoforce.
That is quite funny, honestly. Yeah, man, Exoforce. So I guess for you, it's a mix of the nostalgic factor, the story, and then you just like mechs as well as castle and space stuff and all those things. That's cool. It's good to have a broad range of things, not just stuck to like one specific type of thing. That's awesome, though. Yeah,
I appreciate all original Lego themes. When it comes down to it, like, I love Pharaoh's Quest is probably up there. Like, I really enjoyed that theme. Adventures, like, I'll just randomly get into a random Lego theme. Like, I got into Classic Space here recently. Like, I bought a bunch of Alien Conquest stuff because it was cool.
Really?
Like, I just kind of do that type of thing. Like, with original themes, I'll just start researching. I'm like, damn, this is just awesome. I need to pick up some of this. So
they're the best, man. And Exoforce is so just like it was so unique as well. Like with the specifically dedicated mech theme. And I'm so sad that I was too young at the time to really care about it, because looking back now, I'm like, damn, those things are so cool. Granted, they're a little bit flimsy, but like the concept is there.
The concept is everything about those. Like,
Yeah.
It is some sweet sets. Like they just look cool.
And the coolest. Yeah.
No, never mind. Go on.
I was just gonna say the coolest set from all of Exoforce to me is the Striking Venom. Like that is the most badass Lego set ever. I think.
It's cool.
I also love the fact that Lego's like, yeah, no, we do mostly peaceful stuff, only fantasy violence. We don't make realistic guns. Meanwhile, Exoforce has like really realistic looking machine guns on like so many of their sets. I'm like,
sure.
Big
sword. Yo, like early Lego did not apply to those rules. Like if you look at some of the craziness that was on that stuff, like I'm just trying to think of some of the themes, like even like Mars mission and stuff of like alien kidnap, like, well, alien conquest is such a effed up theme if you think about it, because there's like alien, like humans getting like carried off, like you can grab like the heads of them and fly, like it's like Earth getting invaded, and like if you watch the videos they did for it, it's like craziness of like, it's such a cool thing, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, holy God. Oh, what was the one theme? There was one theme we pulled out.
Dino
Attack?
Because I just had a European version and an American version. The American version had giant guns to blow up the dinosaurs, and the European version had nets. But like, yeah.
I'm trying to think of what it was, but there was one theme for maybe it was Alien Conquest. I just remember we were doing it with a guest, and I was like, this is such a messed up theme when you think about it. And now I'm really trying to think of what that was. But yeah, no, there's a lot of, I mean, Alpha Team was just insane when you look back at that. Like, yeah, there were some crazy ones, like Bionicles.
Oh, Bionicle.
I mean, Alpha Team, if you think about, well, Bionicle, yeah,
that was dark. Right?
Yeah. Oh, it got dark, and it was awesome. It was amazing. Such a great theme. But yeah, I can't think of what it was anymore. But there is definitely a few that you think about, like, if you think of this concept and what it actually is, like, how were they able to make this? Like,
yeah, I always find it funny when Lego kind of like, what's the word? Kind of like doesn't adhere to their own guidelines, and it's really funny. Sometimes it can be irritating, but sometimes it's like really funny because it's like, okay, sure. A bit weird there, but all right. But yeah, no.
You'll do this, but not this. Okay, we see how it is.
Exactly. And when they sneak things into, like when the designers sneak stuff in as well, oh my God, I have the epitome of Lego designers doing that. But what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I heard a story about the castle, because that was my most viewed video, was talking about the toilet in it, and I get, because there's a brown frog. And I guess one of the things I heard is when the designer was doing that set, Lego would be like, oh, well, what's this, part of it here? And he's just like, oh, it's just part of the set. It's just part of the castle. Just a brown frog. Yeah. There's nothing behind it. And I'm like, how did, like, I mean, let's be honest. Like,
yeah, right?
Lego designers, they have the same sense of humor as many of us. Or, like, like different sense of humor. I love it when they can sneak that into that. Like, it's there's I think it was Hidden Side had like a toilet, like a outhouse that could like shoot poop discs.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. It was pretty crazy.
I sometimes wonder how the higher management is not bright enough to catch that stuff. I mean, I'm glad that they don't, but maybe sometimes they pretend that they haven't, but they also think it's funny. But those are good. Yeah. But I have like a really bad one. Like I cannot believe that this actually existed. So it was part of a Lego education set, right? This pops up in a Just Too Good video. It's part of a Lego education set, and it was like a pack of minifigures, and it was teaching kids about different jobs. And there's one minifigure that is a woman, and she's dubbed the Fancy Lady, but she is dressed in all red, and she's standing by a red light, and she's just dubbed the Fancy Lady. But if you know, like, it's so bad. Like, I am shocked that
how? How?
Right? It's insane.
Oh,
it's
my
actually
gosh.
Insane.
That is
how they got that passed. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Alrighty. Wow.
Right? Yeah, that's something. But no, it's fun when Lego designers can sneak things by. Maybe that one was a bit of an extreme case, but the other stuff like the castle and all that, it's really fun.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff that they've gotten by.
Absolutely. A lot of fun stuff that, you can notice when you're building a set as well, like little Easter eggs and stuff.
So you said that I have some takes on stuff that you disagree with heavily. I want to know.
Yeah.
I am very. Before we get into this, I'm going
Yeah.
to say this about all original Lego themes. As a Lego fan, one of the best things about Lego is that you can enjoy Lego however you want. There's a Lego fan that like a Lego set theme set you like. That's all on you. Hey, you enjoy that. My opinions are my own. But also like. I say the same thing for Castle. The great thing about Lego Castle is you can do the story however you want. The lore, you can interpret the lore however you want. It's just how I interpreted or taking it from Lego to put it out. So before we get into that conversation, just disclaimer, this is my opinions. You can love whatever theme you want because I know I have some extreme opinions on stuff. So
Exactly. That's all good. All right, so you are not a huge fan of Ninjago. On the other hand, if you look behind me, I am quite.
I noticed that the whole time we've been talking.
I'm quite a big
Okay.
fan of Ninjago, so I'm curious. I'm genuinely interested. Why is it? Because I do notice that there's a lot of valid points that people have made about it, but I'm curious. Why are you not a huge fan of it? Especially because you're a mech fan, and they make a lot of mechs. So I'm curious.
Okay. I think so I remember when Ninjago first came out. And before Ninjago, there was a theme called Ninja, which was basically samurai and ninjas, feudal Japan. Basically, it was a spin-off of Lego Castle. When I heard Ninjago was coming out, I thought that's what the theme was. And so I was really excited about it. And then the first wave was weird, okay? But it was cool. Like, it was still like skeletons versus ninja. I can do this. I think me and my friend, I have some of the original Ninjago trading cards from when the spinners. Me and my friend would have fun doing the spinning game. It was a good idea, and I liked where they were trying to do with it. But to me, Ninjago just got so weird. Like, it was just like after... maybe it was because I was not following the TV show. Maybe it was because, like... maybe it's just because I started getting older or whatever. But, like... Ninjago to me, and I haven't watched the Ninjago movie, which I should. I know I should. People say it's great.
You don't need to watch the Ninjago movie.
Oh, is it bad? I always heard good things about it. So
Really? I don't know. I mean, there's people who like it. If you're hearing good things about it, that is the very few. Because if you ask the majority of the people in the Ninjago community,
really,
it's not a good representation of what Ninjago is. It is like has maybe like a few. It's like somebody watched 2 episodes, like maybe. Like a few episodes in Ninjago, and it was like, all right, I get the gist of it, and then they made a movie about it. Like, it is not
okay. Maybe it's the
representative of it
sets
at
that
all.
I've heard.
Maybe, yeah.
Is it the sets that?
Like,
Okay, the sets. Okay, maybe that's what I was hearing.
Oh yes,
So
the movie sets are fantastic. The movie itself is meh. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I just never got locked into that world, and I know it's a good world. And I tried recently to start watching Ninjago, and maybe it was just the first few seasons. I was just struggling through. And I know there have been good Ninjago sets. Like, I do own a few Ninjago sets in my collection. I liked the Evo Wave. I thought that was kind of cool. I have, like, the temple from that one. I'm one of the lucky few that has the Ninjago employee gift. That was the...
Oh, my God, man.
I own that, and it's in my collection. And I know all the Ninjago fans hate because I'm, like... Not kind of a Ninjago. So it's hard because I think Ninjago, to me, biggest problem with Ninjago is it's very repetitive. We've seen the very same mechs, vehicles, and stuff like that. Also, Ninjago is one of the themes that, in my opinion, makes it harder for Lego to make other original themes. Because, like, Atlantis, Ninjago did that. You know, they did an underwater one. Mechs, Exoforce, Ninjago's doing mechs. You want to say there's just so much of that, like, kind of a fantasy world. Ninjago's doing that with the dragons and stuff and kind of like the orc-like creatures that they try to do. And I think there's a lot of good figures and parts that come from Ninjago. For me, it's just been very hard to get into that story, which, to me, story is everything. So
yeah.
I think I've heard really good things about the story. I just think some of the recent sets have been just kind of garbage that have come from it personally. Like, I just feel like it's kind of like Star Wars sometimes, where Star Wars has done a lot of the same stuff. And after a while, it's just like, I'm seeing the same crap and I'm not seeing anything new. Like, I absolutely love the 2 sets that come from the new Mandalorian show because they're different. You know, that cool spider crab thing and the pirate ship. I love those. I absolutely do because it's different. Whereas Ninjago, there's a clip that was clipped by our good friend Wrathful Bricks that's out on our TikTok for Stud Buds of me absolutely trashing the new Ninjago wave. And it's just because of that. I just felt like all these things you've seen, and I just didn't, the builds and stuff, they didn't draw me in like I've seen with other stuff. I don't know. I'm a big fan of original themes, which is Ninjago. I just always like, I think they've tried, what Ninjago has done is the legacy of themes they've tried to do. Like, Bionicle was the original Ninjago, and then they did the 2005, I think it was, Knight's Kingdom 2, which was basically Ninjago. I mean, Knight's Kingdom 2 was basically just Ninjago, just set in a medieval world. Kind of Chima and Nexo Knights were also kind of like Ninjago in a way. Like, Ninjago had, like, I've seen some of the sets and I'm like, that's really cool. Like I mean, we can all agree Gardens and Docks and the other ones they've done from that line are amazing. They're beautifully well done sets. The Pirate Wave, I kind of seen some stuff from that, and that looked really cool.
The Sky Pirates?
Yes, that one really spoke to me. I love pirates, and the figures looked super cool. So I don't know. I can't get into it. I've struggled, and it just, again, it comes down to, it feels like it's just replacing the original themes that they could be making, which is what Lego built their company on, was these original themes. And now it kind of feels like they've gone, well, we don't really care about you anymore. Like, just scooch over. Except, unless you're Ninjago or Friends or, other stupid pink themes that they keep. Sorry. Video was such a big disappointment to me. And it's like, Monkey Kid's cool. I think there's definitely elements to Monkey Kid that they've done well with. Again, it's just another one that just didn't speak to me originally. There's some sets, like, I know the boat behind you is a really cool one to me, and there's been a couple other ones that I've seen that I'm like,
this guy here, this mech, this is great.
Yeah, they're well done and they're coolly built. I also think Ninjago hasn't always done the best with the mechs. I think there's been some really kind of crappy mechs that have come from that line. But again, to me, it's just, maybe I'm just an older fan, and it's just hard for me to see the appeal in Ninjago because I sort of started getting into it. But again, there's all these other themes that I went to instead of Ninjago that I wholeheartedly enjoyed. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You've kind of made me like,
Yeah. No, what were you saying?
I sometimes do bump up my hate for Ninjago just for the drama level on Stud Butts. So I will say that. Like,
all right, that's good to know.
I just let myself go off. Like, I don't hold back. Where, like, right now I'm like, because I'm a verbal processor, I'm thinking about, like, why do I hate Ninjago? Is it just like,
oh, really?
I made a lot of jokes about hating Ninjago when I first started, and I realized, oh, Ninjago, like, there's cool elements. I appreciate those people who appreciate Ninjago. I just can't get into myself. And I just think the new sets are garbage.
So I can definitely understand where you're coming from to a degree. Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to the show, so I am one of those people who has been following the show almost since it came out. I was probably like a year late to it. So about 2012, I have been following it ever since then because it's still going. I see what you mean by it's a bit difficult to get into it now. I think the issue is that it's kind of one of those shows that grows up with the audience, right? So you can enjoy it wherever you are at. Like, I know plenty of adults have gotten into it now. But the thing is, it's even better when you have kind of grown up with it. So it has matured along with its audience. When back in around 2018, I think, when the Sons of Garmadon wave came out, which granted those sets were kind of meh, but the season, it was the darkest, I think it still is the darkest Ninjago season yet. Like,
really?
It is heavy. The tone is completely shifted. There's some, I will admit, Ninjago is actually pretty dark when you get into the lore. Like, there is some messed up shit in that, but yeah.
I mean, even the first few seasons that I watched, I was like, if you took off the little kid-friendly stuff off there's some interesting stuff there.
Definitely. So I think it's one of those shows that kind of grows with the audience. But if you give it the
Yeah.
time to kind of look past some of the more, I guess, younger elements of it, because there are still elements of
Yeah.
that, because it is for kids at the end of the day. But it's definitely really good. But I do see why it's a bit weird looking if you're not into it. Because granted,
Yeah.
I understand why one time they're fighting snakes and then the other time they're fighting dragon hunters. But like to other people, I can see how that's a bit confusing. But I think it's just a thing where Ninjago is kind of one of those themes where you kind of need the show to fully appreciate the sets because they give context for the repetitiveness of the sets as well. So I will admit that Ninjago definitely occasionally has occasionally, that's a lie. Often they will have a problem with repetitiveness, especially when it comes to oversized motorcycles. That is a pet peeve even within the
Yes.
Ninjago community. I think the reason for that I've heard is like with Star Wars, it's like a new batch of kids get into it, so they need to have the same types of stuff. But there is story reason for a lot of the repetition, basically. Like for example, like the Destiny's Bounty, there's like 5 of them at this point.
Which
The
that's a cool
context for
ship.
why they've had, okay, yeah, no, it is pretty
I've,
good. But like
I've,
the context for that is because
it keeps blowing up, I'm guessing.
yes, it keeps getting destroyed. That's the thing for that. And for the different mechs and some of the things like that, there is context you can sometimes notice in the show when they've just thrown in a vehicle just because they want to sell the toys. But most of the time there is a story relevant reason. Like for example, I don't know if you've seen it. It came out in 2021, I think. It was the Overlord dragon, like this black and purple
Yes.
dragon. That one. So I'm sure many people looked at that and thought, oh my god, they're doing another dragon. Where in reality, that character, that dragon, appeared all the way back in 2013. It was when a Ninjago was going to originally end. That was like the final boss. And they never
Okay.
made a set of it. And then years later, they came back and they were like, you know what, we're going to make this into a set. So that's why they did that. It was part of the legacy line, basically remaking older sets.
Okay.
And that's I think the only set that never actually had an original. So like there is reason behind some of the repetitiveness, and my god, that thing was a godsend. Like I'm so glad they made that. But
I think
yeah, like
I think I was working at the Lego store when that set came out, or like at least when that
really,
set was on shelves. So that's why I remember it some. So wow, that's interesting. Huh.
yeah,
No, I mean that makes sense.
so
So and again, like why it's the reason I'm connected with Lego Castle because I kind of grew up with the 2007. I grew up with the 2010. I suffered through the 2013 line. Like, it it was cool stuff. But no, I think I get it. It makes sense, and I definitely again I was like, I'll never fully hate. Like if you enjoy Ninjago, go for it, and I think that's really cool.
yeah,
But
it's not your cup of tea, right? Like that's fair.
exactly. I almost did buy a Destiny Bounty though, because I was like, that just looks cool as a set. Like we can all
Yes.
agree that the style of boat is just awesome. So
Definitely. I will say though, I would encourage that you give some more of the sets a chance because I know you don't like Jay's Titan mech from I think it's from the newest line. I know you don't like that, but honestly, that I don't have it, but I've seen reviews of it, and as
Okay.
a fellow mech person myself, I always that's the one thing. People complain about Lego making mech sets within any theme. Every time they do, I'm like, yes, more mechs. I think I'm the only person that gets excited when they continuously make more mechs. It's just
to
something about
me,
that.
the Marvel mechs are the only ones that I'm personally, because I just don't think they're good. I think the Marvel mechs are
That's
some
fair.
of. I also, oh gosh, people hate this about. I just crap on the Marvel sets all the time because I don't believe that Lego Marvel is a good theme. Okay, I am sorry. There is
Really?
good sets in it. They have done amazing, some of the bigger stuff. Like we can all agree, Daily Bugle, Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, amazing sets. They look beautiful and they're great sets. But oh my gosh, guys, look at like some of those sets are just minifigures. You only like them for the minifigures, and that's it. Like I think Mini Superheroes Today has made me like some of them a little bit more because he's such a good reviewer and has such good ways of looking at it. But like, there's so many that I look at that I'm like, it's just another vehicle. It's another Spider-Man vehicle. It's just another random vehicle that they pulled out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. I think some of the sets
Yeah.
when they're focused on the movies can be really good, but yeah, going back to it, the Marvel mechs, it's all about that figure, and I think the rest of the build is kind of lost in that sometimes. So
That's interesting. I definitely see why you and I think a lot of other people don't like it. I think I'm one of the few who does actually enjoy them. But I really, I mean, I can see like they're stylized and they're not things that are going to stay together in my collection for a long time. But like
yeah,
the Black Panther mech and Wolverine ones, I actually really enjoy them. Like they're fun. That's the thing that I find. But I really hate the new ones with the stuck joints. Because
yeah.
it's so much worse.
Can we all
So
agree
awful.
those could have been movable joints so easily? Like even for the Ninjago
Yeah.
ones with similar parts, like
They're the
there's
same
an
part,
area, yeah, there's an area in them that could literally have been like twisted if they just done 2 steps to make it 2 different parts. I'm sorry, I have one of those new like smaller Ninjago mechs, the Zane one, because a friend was like, if you like
Yeah,
Extra
that's a
Force, you
good
got to
one.
get this one. And I'm at my desk at work, and I was like, you could have just made it movable so you could pose them. Like it would have been so
Right.
easy to do. Like
Right. And that's interesting because they actually did try to. The designer for one of the big mech designers for Ninjago, he goes by Tooth Dominoes online.
Okay.
He's created like some of the best mechs, like Jay's one, Zane's Titan mech, this one, that one, the Nia's Samurai
Okay.
X mech. He's like the legendary mech guy in the design world. He is the one that designed those, and he shared sketches, and he did try to he sketched a concept of that joint but movable, and I don't remember exactly why that didn't go through, but it was something that he couldn't control, or it was something to make sure things were more stable or something. I think at a larger scale.
Okay.
That's the issue. It's like, especially with knees and mechs, like so many
Yeah.
times he does the best he can to give mechs knees, and I love him for that. But sometimes mechs don't have knees, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Lego always says like, oh, it's for stability because what's it like? They want to be able to just plop it down and stand, but like. I don't know. To be honest, I think they got to give kids a bit more credit. Like, I don't think they're
agree.
stupid. I think they can figure out how to make a mech stand, but it
Uh,
is what it is. But
I think this is a marketing thing. Always go to the lowest common denominator. When I was working at the Lego store, I saw some stuff that was like, oh my gosh. Like there's just certain people who would be buying. They're like, well, so this comes with this, right? And I'm like, have you ever bought a Lego set before? Like,
right,
it's
right?
like it'll be crazy because like of just how everyone sees stuff differently. So I think that's the struggle, and I get it. There is that posability issue, and you want, because like even with some of the Exoforce ones, like you had to like maneuver it just the right way, and like even Bionicle had that same thing. But it's cool because you could pose them and you can make them how you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting. But I will say,
Very.
one of my favorite mechs from Ninjago that I've seen was the original Samurai mech. I can't remember her name, but she has.
Nia's Samurai X mech. Yep.
I loved how for the shoulder guards they'd use the front of train parts. Like it looked. One of my friends had it, and I will say it looked cool. And it was just like this big samurai. I have appreciation for parts of Ninjago, but just as a whole,
Absolutely. It's not your cup of tea. I can appreciate
No.
that. It's just funny because sometimes when I watch Stud Buds and like for example that thing that you talked about where you went off, I was like, I wish I was on the show so much just so I could like talk about it too. Like get me on there. I need to have this conversation right now.
it's really funny because everyone passes the argument, oh, you're just a Castle fan. And I'm like, okay, you say that because that's what I put out. But I'm a fan of themes. Like when I will, if someone starts hating on like original Lego themes, I'll get on them. It's just like a Star Wars fan. We'll fight among ourselves. But when someone starts hating on Star Wars, we will go after them. And that's like,
Yeah.
I just like to say it how it is. Like sometimes, like I will say Helm's Deep, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, is a garbage set. It's an overrated set in my opinion because it's just this front wall, and I get that's what Helm's Deep is, but like behind it is honestly not too great. Like you can act like, I don't know. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's cool. I like Helm's Deep. I'm glad it's something that's in my collection. I spent a lot of money on it, but like it is very overrated. I'm willing to say how it is, even for the themes I like. Like,
Yeah.
I've given the castle a lot of praise, but I think that set deserves, and I think the Galaxy Explorer, 2 sets that are some of the best sets that we've gotten recently. Like, but again, I'll say it how it is. and I just don't. Okay, like you were talking about other themes. I know my take on Chima, and Nexo Knights always makes people bad because I do not like Nexo Knights.
I was gonna bring those up next.
Okay. I'm gonna quickly go off here. I'm like sitting up a little bit straighter for this. Okay, Nexo Knights. I know a lot of people love it. I know a lot of people love the story, but this is, to me, it's not a castle theme, and that's what I don't like. If you put it in the boundary, the box that is castle themes, and you say, "Well, here's Nexo Knights," I'm gonna take a sledgehammer, hit that back out of there because it's not. It's this is how I explain it. It is there's two different ways I like to explain it. It is space and castle had a baby and then it was run over by a lawnmower. Like, it's just not, it's not either of those themes. Or it's like, one of my friends puts it, it's like the redheaded stepchild of like castle and space, or like,
oh my God.
Sorry. That's so bad ways of putting it. But like, to me, it's got amazing castle parts. If you want to use it for some of the castle helmets or like the fake grid, go for it. But I just personally, to me, if you put a standalone theme, it's a fun idea. I like the idea. I like where they were trying to go with it. But as a castle theme, it's not good. Highly recommend, if you want to see two major castle nerds go off on it, watch my episode of Stud Buds where we had Mark Erickson on. Because he is a huge Nexo Knights hater. I just don't think it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I'm sorry. Every time I try to think about it, I like put it into words, like specifically the little things I just don't like about it. I just cannot appreciate. In my opinion, a lot of people is like, well, it's got great parts. No, just because a theme has great parts does not make it a good theme.
Definitely not. Yeah.
I will put that out there always. I just don't know. I just am not a fan of it.
That's fair, honestly, though. Like, once again, it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I can see how it can trigger you when people say it's a castle theme, because it's definitely not.
The worst part is when people go, it's top 5 best castle themes. And I'm like, have you seen the castle themes that are out there? Have you seen them?
Yeah. I can see how that's triggering for sure.
Sorry.
Definitely. No worries. This is fun. This is really fun. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so I can definitely see how that's triggering, right? For me, personally, I see how it kind of feels like, you have castle themes in like the bubble, and I feel like Nexo Knights is kind of like crosses over in it just a little bit. Like, it's a little bit of a castle theme, but it's like it's a completely different interpretation. It's a spoof of that. It's kind of, you know what it's like? A great way to explain it, like for you to understand. What Nexo Knights is to you is kind of like what the Ninjago movie is to Ninjago fans. That's what it's like.
Yes. Okay, that's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah, I think they tried something there. And I like the idea of like knights on, like, kind of like a fantasy knight area with whatever. Like, I mean, just like a futuristic fantasy knights. I just can't get behind it as much. And there's a lot of sets I've just seen of it. I'm just like, this is stupid. This just doesn't look good. And it, as a theme, it doesn't. I don't know. To me, it's that era. There's a huge era around that time that just themes were 2000. Okay, I love Castle, but 2013 Castle, in my opinion, is one of the worst Castle themes. I think the minifigures that came out of it are great, but if you look at the sets, there's a time period, and I hate LEGO does this all the time, and it just bothers me. And I think Ninjago maybe, like, there's a lot of themes that suffered from this. But what happens is LEGO goes, well, people aren't loving this as much, so we're going to put in less effort and expect it to do well. And that's what it feels like. And that's what 2013 Castle was. Like, it took all the ideas. They didn't try anything new from they played it safe. And that's not the move to go. Because, like, if you look at it, they have a evil wizard. They have a dragon faction versus a lion faction. It's kind of same colors we've seen in LEGO Castle for ages. It was the builds were just weird. Like, they weren't good. They weren't. I like to use the word filled out. There's sets that you look at them and you're like, it feels full. It feels finished. Like, it feels like everything that should be there is there. Like, it's why I love the 2022 90th anniversary castle. There's no part
It's
of that
filled out.
where you look at it exactly. It's full as a set. Like you don't feel like it's missing anything. You know, we could all go, oh, it'd be great to have a village next to it, great to have more minifigures. But as a set itself, it's good. What we got. Whereas a lot of the 2013, I'll even say the 2010, I love Lego Kingdom, but there was issues with that one too. Like some of the sets, like you look at it from one side and it looks kind of good, and then you look at the other side, it's just like this flat back to it. You can see all the way through.
I absolutely get that. I had that with the from that castle line, the evil wizard's castle with like the red dragon and the like blue lion knights going to save her. I had that set.
Yeah.
And it was cool, but it's like the dragon was the draw of that set. The castle was even then. I was like, this is like cut in half. Like it isn't great.
Yeah, and it usually feels like with the bad guys, they don't give, like if you look at 2007 is an exception to all Lego themes, like in my opinion. Like but like if you look at 2010 and 2013 Castle, there was this huge issue where it was like the bad guys were cool. They looked awesome. But like look at the castles they gave them. Like the 2010 one's this like janky tower. I mean, I love it as set. I love the colors they used for the Dragon Knights. I mean, I have 100 of those guys. I love the faction. But I look back at it and it just doesn't feel like complete sets. And same thing happened with the they just really got the short end of the stick for the 2013 ones too. Whereas if you look at the 2007 castle theme, the bad guys, in my opinion, were such a huge draw. Like the troll warriors were amazing. That troll warship sticks out among so many boats. I mean, it sits right there. Like I love looking at that set. You got the battle wheel, you got the siege tower, you got the chariot, you know, like, and even the skeletons. Like in my opinion, like dwarves and trolls are up near the top of that theme. The crown knights are amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's such a beautiful looking faction. The sets were actually really decent for really good for that. And then it's like skeletons are at the bottom end, but like still, even though it was at the bottom end of that theme, it was still solid sets that we got for the skeletons. So like
Definitely.
That theme, they did a great job on the good guys and bad guys and made both of them stick out in your minds. But like I feel like a lot of really factions they've done since. But yeah, so in my opinion, but like Nexo Knights kind of struggled with that too, I think, with anything that like they just kind of put this work in the sets, and a lot of them just don't feel filled out as much as they should be. Then it's also like you got some weird, like why is it, I don't know, just like these giant like cars and stuff like that. I don't know. Again, it's the things I don't like about Ninjago, where it just feels like these random vehicles are just chucked into it.
I see what you're saying. I was gonna say, like, so before I say my take on Nexo Knights, once again, you have a lot of valid points there. I do want to say something else I forgot to say about Ninjago, which was, I feel like, so the thing you have with like, Ninjago and its repetitiveness, I find, so how come you don't have that with castle sets? Because to me, castle sets are a lot of the time, it's a dragon, it's a good castle, it's a bad castle, it's an outpost castle, it's some sort of siege vehicle. Like, it also, to me at least, feels like a lot of the same stuff as well. So I'm curious, is it because they're not still releasing sets, or is it because they're different enough to you?
The castles, after a while, I mean, yeah, there was 3 castles in a row that kind of used the same system, but I've built in the 2010 and 2007 Good Guys castles, and they were different enough. What I think, though, is that's building out a kingdom. You know, each kingdom's going to need its own castle, its own fortification, its own army, its own, like, imagine a map. You know, there'd be different castles dotting the landscape, let's be honest. Like, if, you know, it was and they did try to do different stuff. I mean, look at, you know, the 2007 castle theme, in my opinion, a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, you're a younger castle fan. That's in my opinion, 2007 Castle is one of the best top 3 best castle themes we've ever gotten, because they tried all this different stuff. They went weird with it, and it paid off, in my opinion. Like that troll battle wheel is a stupid looking set. Thing. But it's so awesome, and it makes like these guys are rolling on it, like they're running on it, and it's like this giant troll, you know, pulling this like cart with this guy as a chicken leg. Like I'm like, you know what? It's stupid, but it works, and it works inside this weird fantasy world that they've created for it. But it's like,
I love when they do unique stuff like that.
Yes, Fright Nights, in my opinion, is a very underrated castle theme, and just like Basil the Batlord and Willow the Witch are just two really solid characters. Even original castle, if you look at each theme, if you look at Crusaders versus Black Knights and all of that, each of those had different looks and feels to them. And to me, the biggest draw of Lego Castle is army building. Because in my opinion, Lego Castle is one of the best army building themes that you can do. I think the second is up there with Star Wars, but I think Star Wars is like, you kind of make all the same, you either get your 100 clone troopers, your 100 stormtroopers, whatever it is, and you can kind of have your different units. I have a whole stream that I talked with Shy, Time is my time about this, but like,
cool.
It's so cool to build different smaller factions, and you can have one giant army. So it's like, I could have my, 5 different lion factions that are all technically one army if you want to, but they all kind of look different, and they're all part of the, different kings, and yeah, I think it is a huge problem with Castle where we've gotten the same, lion faction, we've gotten the same different dragon factions.
Sure, yeah.
But
though you make a good point with the building up a kingdom, I will say, like, while it does still look like a bunch of big gray buildings to me, I do see the appeal in that. Like,
whereas
definitely.
for Ninjago, one of my problem is we have the same 4 main characters. At least that's what I know of. That
There's
get the same.
6 now. Yeah.
Is there? Okay, sorry. I legitimately like.
Don't worry about it. I don't blame you.
All I do is
it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, there was Zane, there was Cole, there was Jay, and then
Kai.
Yeah. So like, to me, we've gotten the same 4 characters with the same 4 vehicles. So if we had gotten, let's just say like, and that's my problem with Ninjago. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's my problem with Ninjago. It's the same 4 characters with the same, vehicles. We get the same mechs for them. We get the same we get we always get a rotation of dragons, mechs, cars, bikes, vehicles, whatever it is. Whereas Castle, throughout the years, we've gotten different factions. We've gotten different castles. We've gotten, and each faction needs its castle, because that's, again, it's building out. Now, I think personally they should start focusing more on the civilian side of it. I think that would be an amazing area. Like,
True.
Medieval Village is one of the best. I would say it's the best castle set if that thing at the 90th anniversary didn't exist.
Really better than the blacksmith shop.
Blacksmith is good, but it's got its own things. I think the blacksmith, as I said, those sets are in the top 5 best in my opinion. But like,
okay,
the Medieval Village Raid is such a good set too. I mean, the build's a little bit janky, but like, it's good. And so in my opinion, if Lego focused on the civilian side of Lego Castle, it would do so well.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I see that, because then you're not just building out the military side of it. You're also building out the world. I do think that would be cool. Once again, I'm not a particular Castle fan, but I'm kind of that person that's like, if people want it, make it. So I think they should make more Castle stuff. But
to me, go look at Lego Ideas. Go look at what people are submitting. Like, if you look at the Bricklink Designer Program right now, all the set, I want to say like a fourth of those sets are all Castle sets.
Yeah.
Like, there's a huge market. Like, who was it? SW Bricks, I want to say his name was. Oh gosh, why am I blanking?
SW Bricks and Figs, I think.
Yeah, I think he just changed his name to SW Bricks though. One of his videos where he talked about Lego Castle and army building got 1 million views recently. Like, my videos get like, he put on his Instagram story today. That's why I was thinking about it. But like, my videos get, quite a few views on them when I talk about Lego Castle. Like, there's an audience there. There's people who want this. There's people like Instagram. I see it spammed. I mean, now that's just the people I follow and interact with, but there's still a big enough community that when the 90th anniversary Castle came out, how many people did you say own that set? Or like the Galaxy Explorer?
A lot.
The Forced Hideout was a set people were running over each other to try to get. Like, there's an audience. Sorry, that's a whole I'm so passionate about that.
I feel you, man. Honestly, I'd love to have you on another episode in the future at some point to like talk more about this stuff, because I love it just as much as you do. So that'd be awesome if you're up for that.
Yeah, I feel like at this point we've gone long enough where you could cut this into 2 streams, one about me talking about Castle and one me talking about just like other stuff.
Right? Yeah, I had a pen plays on and we talked for 4 hours, so I cut that one into
gosh.
2 parts. But yeah, dude, he's as well. He's also passionate, just like you and me. So we just went. I was gonna say, so real quick before you also like move on to the next subject.
Yeah.
Before I forget about that, I realized. So once again, I feel like I see like some with Ninjago. I definitely see your criticisms, and I do think like a lot of them I can see why you feel that way about it. But one thing I also realize is that it's a show, and also the sets. Once again, they're so tied to it that it's one of those shows that rewards you for having watched a lot of it. So a lot of the stuff that doesn't look like it makes sense actually all ties together in like a big scheme, basically. It's kind of like the MCU. Like you watch this season that has a character that comes again over here, and then the sets make sense for that. So it looks disconnected, but most of it is actually kind of very well interwoven, I think. And that's the thing. So it's kind of one of those themes where you don't need to, but you're going to get so much more enjoyment out of it if you understand the story and characters behind it, because they always have great side characters as well and things like that. But yeah, that's just something that I remembered and I just wanted to say.
No, I think that's a very valid point. And I think that's one of the hard things for me to connect with the sets, because I haven't watched the show fully. So I mean, honestly, exactly. that makes so much sense to me. You're starting to bring me around a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Probably not fully, but you're starting to bring me around a little bit.
Don't worry. Hey man, I'm glad I could at least bring you around a little bit to it.
But yeah, no, I definitely know where you're coming from. I think like the same passion you have for it was a great point you brought up, like about Castle. Like I was like, oh, didn't think about it like that. But I just again, we all have different. I think when we fall in love with something, some of the we can definitely have a little bit of a blind side to it.
Of course,
but
yeah,
I do think. I think the hard thing is like again, it's how we're connected to it, the passion that we have for something, because definitely. When it comes down to it. Everyone has passion about something different. Everyone has something that draws them more. Like there's stuff that draws me to Castle more than others. Like people are like, I can appreciate a good Castle set, but holy crap, you're way too into this. Like, and I'm like, that's just how it is. Like, I mean, I will say though, all the people who give, like, if you're obsessed with Ninjago or Castle or whatever, I'm like, Are you the one who has like Star Wars posters all over their wall, or Marvel? I think you have like 20 different Funko Pops of like Captain America. Like I'm just enjoying my own world. You're enjoying your world. Like we can all have appreciation for different. It's like to me it's like it's a different. It's like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Star Wars. They're all different fan bases. There is crossover. But, people enjoy it because of the world building. So it's the same reason you enjoy Ninjago. It's the same reason why I enjoy Castle.
Exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. Everybody has their own thing that they're passionate about. And it's okay to have a bias towards something as long as you can also understand other people's viewpoints, I think, right? Like, that's the most important thing. But yeah, definitely.
I think there's also an area when it comes down to, like, I can agree to disagree with you on that. And that's like as simple as it needs to be sometimes. Like
exactly. Being able to agree to disagree. I think that's important, right? Because you're not always going to have the same opinion, but as long as you can respect each other's opinions, even if you don't agree, that's all you need, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I will passionately hate on Nexo Nights, but if there is fans out there, they can be fans.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like,
definitely.
I'm going to come to your house and take away your Nexonites and burn them. Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I will say, I think maybe we can save the Nexonites discussion for another episode because there are some other things I want to ask you. But I just will say really quickly that I actually really enjoy Nexonites. I'm fine that it hasn't continued anymore, but I do enjoy it. Like, I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, I just like, for me, the thing is, it's just cool to me. Like, I like what it's done mostly. I think the color scheme is a bit weird sometimes, but yeah, so I think we can talk about that and some other stuff like that another time.
You're definitely 17, right? If I remember right?
Yes.
So, about 4 or 5 year age difference between us. I have an absolute love. It's kind of your castle in a way, because that's kind of like what you may have grown into, because you're 2005. So, yeah. And that's it.
Ninjago is my castle.
If you watch, yeah, exactly. I mean, like if you watch the episode I did with the four guys of 2x4 table, where we were talking about like different like castle factions and brackets, you can definitely tell there's a bias there. Like Cheesy Studio, he grew up with Knight's Kingdom too, like, and he absolutely has a love for it. So because there's certain ones that's like, that's when you happen to get into Lego. Like I got into Lego Castle and Knight's Kingdom. Lego Kingdoms. I have an absolute love for the Dragon Knights and Lion Knights from that faction because of that. I also think that it's some of the best minifigure torsos we've gotten, but that's just personally me. At least for the Dragon Knights, like. But yeah, again, it's like for us, it's what we just happen to get into. I probably, there's a 90% chance that I could have not been an Exoforce fan, just because my family may have gotten me like, I'm trying to think of what else was on that. I mean, Knight's Kingdom too. Like, they could have gotten me whatever theme from that era, and I probably would have been a diehard fan of it. Like,
exactly. It's I think a lot of what you're exposed to when you're younger as well, right? That definitely plays a lot of a role in it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some diehard Mario fans out there, and I understand it, and I've enjoyed Mario, but I didn't grow up with a console that could play Mario. So I definitely don't have a love for it as much as a lot of those people.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting how that all works, honestly.
Yes, it really is.
So if Lego is going to start focusing on teens more, like how they have with this whole Adults Welcome campaign, what do you think they could do for TFOLs?
I think, okay, so this is my biggest problem with Lego right now as a whole. I think a lot back in the day, a lot of sets could be display or kind of like have fun adventures with it. And I think a lot of sets these days are just kind of these display sets, kind of what we call bin sets. Like they're just going to end up in the bin at some point. And I think we kind of don't have a great middle ground. I think like the Blackshot Cruiser that we got and the Forced Hideout were two amazing sets. For, if they come out, they would have been $30 sets. And I think they would have been heavily worth their money, and they were cheap. So I think if for TFOLs, because that's where this conversation, this is what we're talking about. I think they need to make more sets between that $30 to $100 range that are solid, that feel filled out, that are for creator expert, for creator. Because I think TFOLs enjoy those sets. I think, we all look at those creator expert sets and go, hey, we want those. And that's because of the quality that's in them. I think sometimes that's the quality we're missing in other areas. As I said, the two examples I gave, amazing sets. And they were only, they were small, but they were great. I loved building that Blackshot Cruiser and that Forest Hideout. So to me, they were amazing. So to me, Lego needs to do more of that, because I think there are Lego fans like you. Like I'm seeing you displaying sets in your background. Make displayable sets.
I got a ton.
I think that, yeah, exactly. I think
there's more out of range.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there's so many. Like we all, as Lego fans, the older we get, the more we like to display. The Buzz Lightyear ship was one of the best sets we've gotten, because I just more recently. Because it was a filled out set for $50. What was it, $50? I'm pretty sure. And it had a display stand with a plaque. Like that sits my desk at work every day, and I love that. And I think TFOLs would enjoy. Maybe not, but I think TFOLs would enjoy that kind of stuff. The problem is Lego makes every set right now $300+. Even AFOLs are looking at that and going, I can't afford that. So I think, to me, if like. Really, like, in general, I think it comes with quality and good price for TFOLs, because they can't afford this crazy amount of stuff as, AFOLs can't even. I think there's a huge direction towards that AFOL community there. And I think if they're going to do original themes, they have to add story so that both TFOLs and AFOLs can appreciate it in a way. They can't just phone it in. Video, and it can't just be these... I call them pink themes, like, and that's no offense to anyone who enjoys Friends or Video or like Dots. Also, there's the rumor of Dreams coming out.
I'm excited for that.
I think it might be cool, but I think from the sounds of it, it's just going to be another video. And it's like, you gotta, I'm so happy they're doing another original theme. But to me, the reason they keep having original themes fail more recently is because they're not putting the effort into it. And you gotta put the effort into it. Maybe give us a little bit of story. I don't think we need a TV show, but like some resources on Lego.com that people can get connected to it. Hire some guy who, makes videos about the lore of Lego videos, and just, I'm not sure.
Lego video lore.
I'm just saying, look, they could hire me. I'd come out and do those videos for them for pretty cheap and do super entertaining, like, world building for them. But like, that's a joke more or less. But like, seriously, I think Lego, what they could do to help out TFOL, like you got to give people a way to connect with this. And I don't think it always has to be a Marvel or Star Wars set. So I think prices and the set itself, like I remember one of the biggest problems I had was a lot of teenagers who wanted 18 plus sets because they wanted a bit of a challenge with the build. And a lot of the sets that are under 100 are not really that much. It depends. There are some really challenging Ninjago sets. I'm looking at some of the sets behind you. Exactly. So, like Speed Champions, people absolutely love Speed Champions, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
More lately, I've been making it my I like making it my business ever since I started working at Lego Store. What do people enjoy about these different things? I love knowing about every theme that Lego has on a shelf right now because I'm like, what are people enjoying about these? Why are people buying these? And again, I think it goes back to like TFOLs. There's certain stuff they do want, but Lego just isn't giving. I don't think Lego markets towards them as much. I think you either market towards kids or they market towards adults. And TFOLs,
when they try to market towards teens, it is horrible. Video
give me an example.
And Hidden Side they tried.
Oh,
video
okay,
and Hidden Side were both. Video less so, but Hidden Side more. And there was another one. I can't remember it right now. It's just bad. It's like they don't understand teenagers at all. I
don't think they understand people most of the time, but like that's just me.
Yeah, no, you're not completely wrong with that. The marketing department is a bit iffy at times, but they're not good with that.
Well, it's like the new video game coming out. We haven't talked about this yet, but the new 2K Drive. When I saw that first trailer, I was like, and then I watched Bricking.Up.Brad's Mini Super Stay and Emma Source's videos about it. I was like, okay, I can see why this sounds like fun. But at first, I was like, how they market everything is very young, but they put out a product that seems older, like for older, like
it's a weird.
Kids aren't going to go spend $70 on that. All right, it's $60 on the PC. I found out actually, so that was pretty cool.
Okay.
But like, let's be honest. Kids aren't going to go spend $60 on that. Like, I think there are a lot of video games kids spend money on, but like, I don't know. So to me, it's just like, I think you're right. The marketing there sucks. I think they need to figure out how to market. And I guess like they kind of do that through content creators, but it's like,
I don't feel, in some ways it is the way to go, but not to get new people into it. I will say, I think the way they had it in the early 2000s to 2010s was the perfect way. Things like Bionicle, the way they marketed Ninjago at the time. Like, Bionicle did have its own very deep story. That is sadly one of the reasons why it was discontinued, because it got too confusing. But I know the ads were like... It's such a cool
story, but...
Yes, I haven't gotten into. I want to get into it, but it's even hard for me.
Same.
The ads were like mini stories, basically, and that did cater to teens, and even Ninjago in some ways. Like, personally, I do feel like if an original Lego theme is going to succeed, it needs a solid story of some sort. I'm actually working on a video about that right now. But
nice.
If you don't have a solid story like Hidden Side, for example, they did have a web series, but it was terrible. So if they had something even just like to the level of Bionicle ads, just some kind of thing there to get people engaged with the characters, then I think that's what would do good, as well as doing affordable but well done sets, like you said. So it's all that.
Are you talking about those underwater Bionicle ads? Because
that's the
those
exact ads I was thinking about.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I still go back and rewatch those. The what, like, coming out of the submarine, the guy's like letting the rockets go. You got these creatures coming out like, gives me goosebumps to this day still thinking about that. And I agree. Like, where did Lego marketing go? And it's so weird because it really did. But like, there's a website called the Wayback Machine, which you can look at old websites on. And I did it for Lego.com. And I went back to like 2007 Castle. They had bios for some of the castles. I mean, it wasn't super in detailed one, but some of the 2007 Castle characters, they had like descriptions about them. And I'm like, Lego, like you go to their website now, and it just feels empty. It feels like I get it. It's like a little more like easy to access, and they have the kids side, but it's like, yo, like you used to go, they had like backgrounds you could download.
Really?
They had, like, and you can find them on Brickset now, those backgrounds. And they're, dude, after we're done here, I'm going to go show you those because they're amazing. But straight up, they did some amazing stuff. They had resources, they had games, they had videos. Like, I remember I did not like the Cars theme, but you know what I loved is they did a series about how a Cars set was designed.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I've seen that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And as I said, like Space Police 3, they had an amazing animation series. And then they did videos about the guy who made the series. So to me, you're missing out. You're missing out on the market. Like Matt talked about this, and I think it was on the last episode of Stud Buds. He's just like, it feels like they're about, they always say they're about their community, but it doesn't feel like they really interact. Like their social media
they're pushing the job of community onto the actual community, where I feel like they should be working hard as well to maintain it.
I mean, BrickCon was a step in the right direction, even though it wasn't the best.
LegoCon,
LegoCon. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. No worries. I was like, wait, there's another one?
No, sorry. There's like 50 different conventions I was just thinking of. LegoCon, I think was a good step in the right direction. I think it needed more steps to go in the better direction. But, like, they had the idea there of, you know, like, I would love it if there's some cool announcements that aren't at the May 4th for Star Wars sets. Like, that castle being unveiled, I was jumping out of my chair going, holy. Like, I was so happy. But, like, again, they're not doing their community. And I think if they really want to do stuff, there's better stuff they could be doing with social media. As I've told you, job social media coordinator, and how you market stuff is so important. Like social media is so important right now because that's where people are. The content creators like me, like even as small as we are, even the big ones are doing a better job at marketing Lego social media wise and doing what Lego should be doing with social media than Lego is right now. And sorry, I know we were talking about TFOLs, but I think it comes down to it. Lego doesn't know how to market to their audience, it feels like. And it feels like they focus more on bringing new fans in through doing sets like they've kind of done based off of movies. Like, you know, we see that a lot in Creator Export, like doing some of like the Friends and those kind of TV shows. Like the Queer Eye set. There's a bunch of other sets that kind of felt very much like you're just trying to bring in a new audience, which is good. And that should be a goal. But you need to also focus on the community you have and keeping those fans in.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my personal take. Yes. No, 100%.
Right? Like, I mean, once again, the set designers and all those guys, they're doing great, but it's the higher-ups and the marketing team, I feel, that are really falling off. And I think, you know, they had it great back around like 12-ish, and around that time when they had the community managers like Kevin Hinkle. I don't know if you know him, but like if anybody doesn't know, that was a job position that they used to have where these people were, you know, they worked for Lego, but they go to community things, to conventions and all that, and represent the brand and get direct feedback from the fans there. And that was great. He's legendary because of that. But you know, it feels like they've gotten lazy. And the advertisements, I don't see Lego ads on TV anymore that much. Like, I mean, granted, I don't watch TV that much, but still, when I'm out, I don't see
like Hulu. I watch Hulu. I'm not seeing Lego ads there.
Right, exactly.
If Hulu's taking my data, then they should know that that's the only thing I Google right now. Like, you should see my Google search history. It's just like, for example, Lego Forest Maiden, Lego Forest Elf, Like literally, like that was, I mean, the stuff I was Googling for my last video. Like,
Exactly.
I should be getting crazy amount of Lego ads, but like, I have a friend who I work with who was like, what happened to those? Because he watched one of my videos where I used footage from an old Lego ad, and he was like, what happened to that? Well, you know, and I was like, I don't know.
Right.
Like the last one I
know what it
remember
was?
getting was for Harry Potter, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sorry, go on.
The thing is, no worries. The thing is, especially for their original themes, I feel was the case, was one, they had more of them, but also they had soul. The advertisements had soul. Now they don't. They used to have so much soul, and like you could see, they were just fun. Like those are ads that I would sit down and like actually watch for entertainment. Like they had so much soul to them, and they're so passionate and interesting. And now it's like the new Lego Hulkbuster, build it, haha. Like it's not the same anymore. And
don't even
you
get me
don't
on
you don't hear
that
people
part.
asking for advertisements anymore. Like you don't hear people asking for advertisements, but you hear people asking for Lego advertisements. Like that should say something, right? But
Yeah, well, I mean, they told a story. You're right. They had soul. They told a story. They made you be like, I want to get sets from that. I want to like have this story, like, because it built a world. It did stuff like think like, oh my gosh, think of the pictures that they used for the Hulkbuster, like, and like some of those bigger sets they announced for the website. Like it's this adult, usually looks like a single adult in a room with nothing else in it, and it looks like. I mean, for the Hulkbuster, there was like 2 Iron Man posters in it, or like 2 Iron Man pictures in the background. But it's like
it's you guys said it was like he was in like
a
bunker, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yo, whose room looks like this? Because I know unless you're
one thing I thought that was just really funny. It just clicked the other day. You guys are totally right about that. Like most people's houses do not look like that. But recently I was in someone's house who was super modern like that, and I thought the other day, I was like, oh my god, this is like one of those houses that they do the product images in. Like that was the only house that I've seen like that. But no, absolutely. Like most people's places don't look like that. They look like this.
Our rooms look like what a Lego fan's room should look like. Like that.
Exactly.
Why aren't they like? There should be Lego bricks everywhere, and they should be like, I mean, again, and it just shows that they're trying to be the bougie toy and display thing, and that's why they do it, because those bigger sets, they're marketing towards these like upper class kind of audiences, and it's like, hold up, like, what about the people who made you who you are? Because honestly, they only go that direction, they're gonna lose thousands of fans.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be crazy, the drop-off. If they start being like, well, we're only going to do really expensive sets, and we're only going to kind of market towards this upper class, that thousands upon thousands of fans, they will stop getting their business every day. Like, they'll just start losing it.
And it's the casual fans that they'll start losing mostly. Yeah.
The casual fans, the hardcore fans will just be like, well, I'm just going to go buy used sets. Because why?
Exactly.
Like, I have friends who are hardcore Lego fans who wanted that new castle. They can't spend $400. They got kids. They got whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like, sorry, and like your question was TFOL, what Lego can be doing. So I think, again, they need to find way. They've been doing really good with adults. They've been doing really good with the younger kids. Even though how much I hate on some of those sets, the smaller sets, they appeal to younger audiences. Also, for example, remember when I was working at the Lego store, families would come in and want to buy sets, and they're like, well, we don't watch Ninjago, we don't know what that is, we don't play Minecraft, we don't really do Marvel and Star Wars, so it's like, where are the sets for those people? That's what original themes were about. You didn't need to know, like.
Yes, more original themes. They don't have to stay for ages, but just like one and done themes go for like 2.5 to 3 years. Boom, they're gone, but they're there. Like, yeah.
I think they need to make a theme called the retro theme, which is literally just bring back an old theme, just a couple do like 5 or 6 sets a year, just redesign some older ones, and you just put them out. People would go mad over that. Especially you give it different price ranges, and you make sure it's not all over 100. But yeah, so
definitely.
I think the hard thing is just they need to find a good way to connect with TFOL fans, because otherwise they're going to lose them. And it's as basic as that. And as a company, you want to make sure you're always focusing on the next group. You can't always rely on the younger kids to have nostalgia to go into that next phase to stay in that next phase than to go in. I mean, again, to me personally, work with content creators, to work with in a way, the TFOLs. There's so many amazing content creators out there who because that's who people connect with, is these content creators,
Definitely.
I mean, at least that's how I see it. Content creators are the new celebrities, and you have hundreds of them in your backyard who are dying to work with you, Lego.
Definitely. They've been reaching out to non-Lego ones like Dan TDM and people like that, which I think is good, but they don't do it in the right way. But
no.
Yeah.
Because they're not Lego fans.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a difficult road when it comes to content creators, because that is still very niche. A lot of people don't know that the Lego community even exists, but it's finding a good middle point, I think. And also, I think a great way to market to teens and kids is to just market to teens, because younger kids think that's cool, therefore they will buy that. That's what Bionicle was. It was for teens, but so many younger kids got it because they're that's what the big kids like. I remember when I was little looking at some teenagers play with Bionicle sets, and I thought to myself, those are big kid Lego. That's big kid Lego stuff. I'm going to play with that when I'm older. That's exactly it. So
that's such a, the sets, it's a great example. I did the same thing with my brothers. They would do something, I'm like, that's awesome, I want to do that. Yeah. It's, I was always going to be I'm going to get those types of sets when I get older. And then I got older and I was like, oh, it's very different up here than I thought. But okay, I'm still going to buy them, but
Exactly. But no, you make a lot of really good points there. All right. I think there's still so much more I'd love to talk to you about, but I think we're going to have to end it here. But once again, love to have you on for another episode in the future, because there's still, I think, a lot more that we can talk about. So
I agree. This was so much fun, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem. I love talking, and I love talking about original themes and what Lego should be doing. Because when it comes down to it, I'm not just a Lego fan. I'm a fan of Lego. I know that doesn't sound like a difference, but it's not like I'm just some guy who bought a Star Wars set and enjoys Lego sets and also Star Wars. I'm a fan of what makes Lego Lego. And that's the creativity, the building blocks, and the storytelling. Absolutely. Storytelling, look at Lego Masters. Storytelling is what built, how people won. It's how Brick and Nick and Stacy won, because of the best story. Lego prides himself on story, and that's what all of us are here for. We're all here for the stories that you can have with it. The stories that we had when we were kids are the new stories we're creating with sets, It's so much, and I just, anytime I get a chance to talk about that with other passionate people who are fans of Lego, it's always a pleasure.
Exactly. It's the best, man. I feel exactly the same. It's the best to be able to just go off passionately with someone else who is at the same level of passion about that thing and just go back and forth for ages.
Yes.
All right. So the last question is, do you have any advice for TFOLs?
Couple things. One, make a budget, because I'm going to tell you right now, that helps. And also, it allows you to save up. If one day you wanted a Millennium Falcon, you could save up for it. I don't know, look, I know not everyone has allowance or whatever, how they get their money, but having a budget and saving up, not always getting the small sets is sometimes worth it. I remember when I was a kid at TFOL, because I was thinking about this, because I was like, what do I remember from my TFOL years? And, so I think that the big one was I wish I didn't just I get $10 and I go spend on a Lego set. Get $10, get another 10, and go get a cooler set. There's some really cool sets that are always coming out, and you don't always have to get it when it first comes out. I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make. When a set first comes out, you don't have to get it right then and there. There's certain sets where, to me, the Castle was, I have to get that day one. I don't know why, but that's just, I have to own that day one. I think building a community around you of other TFOLs, but also having older fans that you're friends with too. I think if you can build a community around you of other Lego fans, it's going to make you a better builder, a bigger fan of Lego. Again, iron sharpens iron, and people rub off on each other in such a good way. I think about it now. I have a lot of friends in the Lego community who are older than me by a lot, and they're really amazing people to be around. They've taught me so much about Lego and different areas of it, and especially the community side, because they've been going to conventions forever. And then I have a lot of friends around my age that we talk, you're going to talk about each of these people with different stuff, but having friends in those different areas, especially like right now is this big time to find people. Community is a word I love using. Like it's so important these days. So finding people, even if it's just like people you're talking with on the internet, like reaching out to people. If you're someone who's making content or, whatever, reaching out to people doesn't hurt. The worst they can say is no. Like not everyone, not everyone can always interact with people. There's some people you're not going to get along with everyone, but find people you do get along with. I think those two are big things.
Don't be afraid to reach out to people, right? Like that's a really big one.
Worst thing, I have reached out to a lot of content creators, and sometimes I don't hear back from them from months. Like, it really just depends. Trying to think of what else. Like, just
that was good.
Find what you love about Lego.
Yeah,
I mean, find what you love about Lego and continue exploring that area of it. And honestly, there's a lot of people. I'm gonna bully you for it. When it comes down to it, why does their opinion matter? Like, biggest lesson you can take away in life is not everyone, you don't need to live off other people's opinions, and, enjoy what you enjoy doing. Cause I'm guessing there's stuff that they do that you could easily make fun of them about. So
yeah,
everyone's got things. So yeah. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, I think that's absolutely fantastic, man. I think that's really great advice. It really doesn't matter what other people think, and also, to reach out to other people around you and, other TFOLs. And I will say, a great piece of advice I think that I have for how to find other TFOLs is what I did when I first joined the online community is find one TFOL, message them, say, hey, love your stuff. I'm trying to kind of get more into the TFOL community. Do you have any other TFOLs you'd recommend I follow? When they get back to you with a few accounts, do the same thing with all of them and just keep doing that. And then you build a little web thing. Also, once again, TFOL Talk here is the place to go if you want to find other TFOLs, and a Discord server is coming soon. So that's another place you can go.
Awesome. I also recommend, sorry, I know we're trying to wrap up here soon.
It's good.
The one thing I always recommend, this is what I do. I always go on my, if you're like, let's say it's Instagram you're doing, I go through and I follow everybody who has Castle in their profile or I see any type of Castle content. I go through and follow them. If there are people I want to talk to and I like the stuff they're doing, then I message them. If I see an Instagram story pop up of like there's people just have conversations. This is kind of how we first started talking originally is you replied to one of my stories and I just had a conversation with you about it. Like,
exactly.
Because again, if it's something in their story and they're passionate about, I mean, that the first conversation I had with Mini Superheroes today, I just replied to one of his Exoforce that he posted about Exoforce. I was like, dude, I love that set. It sits at my desk at work. Like,
yep.
And it doesn't, even if it's a small conversation, like it's still great to have. And
it's making the connection.
Exactly. And honestly, conventions are the other big way. If you can get yourself out to a convention, look for the ones near you. If you're close to Chicago, I highly recommend hitting up that event this year. It's going to be a big one this year, and I'm really excited to be out at that one. There's always ones around. And look up Brick Universe if you're in the States, Brick Universe, I'm trying to think of all the other ones, but Brick Fair, and there's a bunch of other ones. But yeah, look into them. They're a lot of fun. I just started doing them this past year, and I'm going to like a bunch this year. And they're great ways to meet people and just have conversations. Because there's a Lego set right there. You're both looking at it, have a conversation. That's literally how I made friends.
Yep, exactly. That's the best way to go that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, man. I love it. And thank you so much for coming on. It was really awesome having you. And before we end this episode, do you have any social media or other things like that you would like to plug?
Always hit me up on YouTube, guys. Subscribe to me there, Bricking.Up.Brad. Your best Lego Castle content you're going to get thrown your way, in my opinion. Also did a little space content and going to dive into other themes when I get the chance. I got some pirate videos lined up at some point. Highly recommend that. Instagram, and while TikTok's still a thing in the US, I highly recommend following me there. And then technically on Facebook and Reddit too. But like I have a thing called a beacon. So if you go find me on Instagram, you can click on that, see all the different areas I'm doing. And then Stud Buds every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I do an awesome stream with Ethan the Artisan, Matt Mellish, and Block Studio called Stud Buds. It's so much fun. And if you really want to know what's happening Lego news-wise, we always talk about it every week. And we're switching up how the show is a little bit, but we're really sticking down to just Lego news, and that's going to be anything from sets to community stuff. And we're turning that into discussion topics, and that's really what we're talking about now. And we also have a lot of amazing guests on from everyone, Mini Superheroes Today, Emma Soros, Mark Erickson. We've had a lot of cool people. Danny Bob. Yeah, like so many cool people. So highly recommend checking that out.
Definitely. I can agree. Stud Buds is a fantastic podcast. I also highly recommend it. There's a lot of fun stuff in there, and these guys are great. So yeah, definitely go check
Appreciate
that out.
it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. It means the world, and I hope you enjoyed. Links to the things and people we talked about will be in the description as always. New episodes now release once every 2 weeks on Tuesdays for TFOL Talk Tuesday, and you can find updates, announcements, and more regarding the podcast over on my Twitter or Instagram, both of which are @DoodleBricks. Anyways, that's all for now, and we'll see you all later.